Meet Oren Dura, who is an enchanter and a member of an S-rank party. He had dark hair and blue eyes. He was making preparations for their party's next expedition. Suddenly he was called by his friend, Oliver, who was the leader of the party. He wondered why he was calling him formally like that out of the blue. Oliver suddenly announced that Oren was kicked out of the party effective from that day. Oren was shocked and asked Oliver what kind of joke was that. Oliver Cadiff is known throughout the country as a sword saint for his swordsmanship skills. But Oliver denied that it was not a joke. Oren was enraged as he didn't know why Oliver was doing that to his childhood friend and brother in arms. Oliver also agreed to that and mentioned that he let Oren join his party because they were from the same village. But he felt that it's going to be too hard for him from here on out. Simply, he accused Oren as he was not skilled enough for them, and that's why he wanted him to leave their party. 8 years ago, a 10-year-old, Oren and Oliver formed a party. It soon gained the people's attention and was thus called the Heroes Party. In the southern Great Labyrinth, where no one has ever reached the very bottom, they became the first to reach the 94th level. A super skilled party that climbed up to S rank in a mere few years after it was formed. Oren agreed that his skills might leave some to be desired, but he knew that it was the same for all the party members. But Oliver preferred to have the enchanter in their party to be stronger. Enchanter is the person who gives buff and support magic to the other party members. He believed that they failed to realize how important the existence of an enchanter is until then. He told Oren about the dragon raid from last month, and that's when he understood how valuable an enchanter can be. And they also knew that Oren's support magic is a league below other S-class enchanters. Of course, Oren knew that he would fall behind as his original job was swordsman. That's why creating original magic was difficult for him from the beginning. That's when the defender of the party, Derek Mosley, shouted at him to stop his babbling. He mentioned that the reason Oren became an enchanter was because his sword skills also fall short compared to Oliver. Now, they were saying to Oren that he wasn't a good enchanter, and they believed that Oren was not in any position to complain about it. Oren argued that he did that because their party lacked an enchanter at that time. They chose Oren, who had the highest aptitude to convert to be an enchanter. Since then, Oren had compensated for his weakness with his own personal magics, and thanks to that they had been able to survive so deep in the labyrinth. He asked his friend Oliver to vouch for him, but he just mentioned that the heroes' party had to continue moving forward. It was evident that he had also given up on him. They had already found a replacement enchanter, and that's why Oliver needed Oren to leave now. Oren was disappointed with his friend's response. He couldn't believe that's how they would treat a comrade who's been with them through thick and thin. But he was now an unneeded existence to all of them. Since they had already found his successor, he didn't have a place there anymore. So Oren decided to leave, and he thanked them for everything. A woman exclaimed that it was a relief that Oren finally left. It was one of his ex-party members, sorcerer, Annalie Wiles. Even though Oren had the ability to do both magic and sword skill, both of them are just a class. She was pissed off every time someone like Oren questioned everything they did. She teased Oren as the master of none. She asked him to do something that suited him this time, like a loser he was. Oren turned back to see his fake friends for one last time, and Annalie was taken back by that. He came to know that's how Annalie had thought of him all this time. Even though he always gave his all to this party, he was discarded in the end. He wondered why he had even tried to get involved in a party with people like them. That's how he was fired from the heroes' party. The next day, Oren only managed to wake up in the afternoon. He arrived at the inn and immediately sucked in bed yesterday. He hadn't thought of what he was going to do from then on. He could go on living without much trouble, but he had to find his new way of living now. He could think of 3 things. 1. He could continue as an adventurer and scour labyrinths for materials and sell them. 2. He could work somewhere. He might earn less, but it's more stable. 3. Open up a shop. He could earn a lot, but there's also a huge risk of failure. Among those options, continuing is the only answer for him, as he had experience in it. It's not like he wanted to become rich. He came to this city because he wanted to be an explorer. He came there with Oliver, but it's not like he wanted to be an adventurer just to chase him. He became one on his own violations. He also didn't have to worry about the party's condition now as before. He decided to return to being a swordsman. Since he had decided that, he needed to get his feelings back. So he decided to go to the labyrinth, which had opened up nearby recently, to practice there. He went to the labyrinth, and the guild staff of Dungeon Entrance Management inquired why he was going there alone. Oren wondered if there was a problem with that. She explained that there's no problem, but she felt that it was dangerous to go alone. So she asked him to come back after forming a party. Oren denied that it was a no issue for him, and he asked her to see the guild card he gave her properly. She was surprised to see Oren had reached level 94. She suddenly apologized for her rude behavior before. She changed her stance towards Oren completely to 180 degrees. Oren was able to finally enter the dungeon, but he couldn't help but wonder about that sudden change in attitude of the staff. It was a calculating move, even though he was fired from the hero's party. Oren entered the labyrinth's first floor. The monster he encountered there was a horned rabbit. He felt that a monster like that was perfect to train a dulled blade. He killed that monster in a single swing, and it was quite an easy win for him. It seemed like Oren hadn't dulled as much as he had thought. Since he had already come all the way there, he decided to go a bit deeper to train some more. On the third floor, he met goblins. The monsters' numbers seemed to be gradually increasing, but they all had only low intelligence. He was bored and he decided to try to cast his support magics as well. Support magic is a type of magic that's commonly applied as buffs to one's own body or to increase a weapon's effectiveness. Not only for party members, enchanters are also able to buff themselves. He casted strength up on himself. He successfully casted it, and the real test begins from there. He dashed towards the goblins and killed them one by one. He also counted the time it had taken for him to do that. Support magics are extremely convenient. However, they still had a weakness, and that is time. He was only able to maintain his buffs for exactly 3 minutes. He noticed that there's still more monsters deeper inside. He decided to make them as his training partners. Support's magic effects don't last forever. Also, depending on each individual's magic resistance, the effective time also changes. In Oren's case, it is 180 seconds. The enchanter had to count the timing and apply buffs while fighting or supporting their party members. He reached the last 3 seconds of the spell. He casted another buff on himself and killed the goblins. Enchanters who use support magic are always racing against time. He casted for about 20 times and he finally got the feeling back of using the sword. Nevertheless, he liked this new style of switching around between swordsman and enchanter. Oren believed that he could improve his skills further with those. He certainly knew that he was master of none, but he wanted to evolve even further from there. To never let anyone call him a master of none ever again, Oren is determined to become the strongest jack of all trades someday. He reached up to 7th floor. He decided to call it for that day. He saved his journey in the crystals with his guild card. It allows one to teleport to the saved floors of the specific labyrinth. It would be placed in every entrance of the new floors so that the adventurers could avoid the trouble of passing through the same floor many times. That's when he heard a quarrel between another party. It seemed that one of the members believed what he did was right. They used a little girl as bait and ran away. There were more monsters than they had thought, so the leader of that group used that new recruit as bait rather than sacrificing his old teammates. Oren felt complex emotions upon hearing that. It reminded him of his ex-party members. He knew that it's not his place to butt in and blame that little girl Luck for coming across such a party members. But he also knew what it would feel to be abandoned by a party. Moreover, there's also a chance that she had already died down there. But he still decided to save her. He shouted at them that he had heard enough. They were startled by Oren's shouting all of a sudden. Oren berated them as a bunch of kids who were whining instead of going back and saving the little girl. People like them are what Oren hated most. One of them got mad at Oren and tried to attack him. He argued that he was also left alone there, so there's no chance to save her. But Oren easily held his wrist and pushed him down. He asked that man to lie where he belonged and complain all day. He inquired others about the location where they left the girl. They were taken back by Oren's anger. They showed him the way to go there. Oren started to run there, leaving the others surprised. He wouldn't even have asked for the location if hadn't planned to save her. A red-eyed girl with red hair stood there alone, afraid. She knew that it was a hopeless situation. She knew that she wouldn't be able to fight all those orcs alone. But if she didn't do anything, she was sure that she would die. So she mustered up all her magic and casted a magic barrier. She pleaded with those orcs to stay away as she didn't want to die yet. She wished for someone to save her before the magic barrier collapsed. She cried at her helplessness and thought about her big sister. At that time, Oren was running at his full speed to save that little girl. He cursed the adventurers who used people as bait and believed that people like them have no right to form parties. The little girl managed to use her magic barrier for a long time, but the monsters were relentless. Her barrier started to crack. That's when a huge spell arrow shock was executed in front of her. Oren managed to reach that place successfully on time. He asked her to focus on the barrier magic and assured her that he would take care of the orcs. The little girl also agreed to do that, and Oren moved ahead to slaughter the orcs. The little girl wondered whether Oren was a magician or a swordsman. Oren casted numerous buffs on him like strength up and technical up. He also enchanted his sword just in case. He casted sharpness up on it and the sword shined brightly. The little girl was surprised to see him even using support magic as well. Oren counted and found that there were 13 orcs in total in front of him. It was no wonder that the party ran away. He jumped into the orcs group and slaughtered them. It was a child's play for him who had managed to reach up to 94th floor. He killed all of the orcs and the little was shocked to witness his strength. He exclaimed that he was incredibly strong. After finishing them, Oren breathed a sense of relief. He inquired whether the little girl was alright. He wasn't able to see any external injuries, but he still casted heal on her just to be safe. After some time, the little girl seemed to come to her senses. She breathed a sigh of relief that she managed to stay alive. She fell down to her knees and cried as she was quite scared. Oren was surprised and didn't know what to do in that situation. The only solution he came up with was to pat the little girl's head. Since he knew that being abandoned by one's allies is really a scary thing. The little girl finally managed to stop crying. Oren apologized for suddenly patting her, but she didn't mind that. She thanked him as she was grateful for him saving her. She really thought she was gonna die back then. That's why she was so happy when Oren came to save her. Suddenly, they heard a sound. Oren, who had tons of experience, knew that there were more monsters coming on their way, so he decided to leave that place first. He helped the little girl and escorted her back to the entrance. Oren decided to leave and she thanked him once again. She apologized for not introducing herself and revealed her name, Sophia Clodale. Oren was surprised to hear that name, and he also found the insignia matching that on her dress. He also introduced himself as Oren Dura. Sophia felt that Oren was a wonderful name. She wanted to treat Oren to dinner as a thanks for his earlier help. But it's not homemade though. Oren denied that it wasn't needed as he did not save her to be repaid. He was already satisfied with her thanks. But he wasn't able to overcome Sophia's cute pleading eyes. And so he agreed to it in the end. Sophia was glad to hear that. Oren inquired whether she had already decided on a place. If not, he suggested that he knew some places around there. But Sophia already had planned about that, so she guided him there. She guided him to a small restaurant, but she assured him of the taste of the food there. Oren noticed that the shop belonged to the rabbit group. He already knew from her cape's insignia that she really is an adventurer from the famed Silver Rabbits of the Night Sky clan. A clan is an organization of adventurers. There, they sell and process materials the adventurers bring back from the labyrinths. Sometimes, they also open restaurants and general stores like this shop as a side business. The materials they sell are then used to upgrade their equipment. Then it was used to gather even better materials. Among them, the Silver Rabbits of the Night Sky is the major clan with many members. So Sophia really shouldn't have needed to group up with a random party. So he wondered the reason behind that. They went inside the small restaurant and Sophia greeted her sister. But Oren was also shocked to see Sophia's sister as he already met her once. Sophia's sister also had the same red hair and red eyes like Sophia. Sophia's sister was there to grab dinner as she had a meeting that day around that place. Setting that aside, she teased Sophia if Oren was her boyfriend. She teased her that it was still too early for her to do that. But she stopped in the middle as she managed to recognize Oren. She greeted Oren with his full name with anger. Oren also greeted her using her name, Selma Clodale. She was the party leader who stood at the summit of the Silver Rabbits of the Night Sky. A famous adventurer comparable to the hero party's leader, Oliver. The reason for that was because of her pretty face and being the strongest enchanter in the continent. She's also the reason why he wanted to try and become an enchanter. And that's also why he got kicked out of the heroes party. Not only, Selma had popularized the job of enchanter, but she also created the idea of roles in parties. She brought up the idea of splitting parties into 3 different roles. The offensive, attacker, the tank, defender, and the backline, supporter. This became the immediate staple of parties. The hero's party is no exception to that, and he was the one who eventually ended up in the supporter role. In the last month's quest, Oliver saw Selma's magic effects and decided that Oren wasn't good enough and fired him. He never thought that Sophia could be related to her. But he wondered why she was staring daggers at him for a while now. Selma accused Oren of seducing her cute 14-year-old sister and exclaimed that Oren had some guts to do that. Now he knew the reason behind her anger. Oren tried to clear the misunderstanding as he didn't have any improper thoughts. But Selma thought he was claiming that her sister, Sophia, was not cute enough for him. Oren felt annoyed to deal with a sister lover. Sophia interrupted between them and asked Selma to not be rude to her life savior. From that, Selma found out that Sophia went into the labyrinth alone again. Sophia was caught by her own mouth. Selma inquired why she had done that when she asked her to be patient. She was planning to take her on a big expedition the day after tomorrow. Now Oren knew why Sophia was snuck inside the labyrinth all on her own. Selma did not wish to say anything since she appeared to be safe. But from then on, Sophia was not allowed to do things like that anymore. After that, Selma thanked Oren for his help in saving her sister and apologized for her early rudeness. Oren didn't mind that, but his stomach growled at that point. So they decided to share a table together. Also, this was the first time they had a proper conversation in a while. Even when they went on that subjugation quest, they didn't talk about anything other than the quest. They first met each other last month on a subjugation quest. They were positioned together since they were both enchanters. But Selma took the lead and he was just there as her support. Seeing their conversation, Sophia wondered if Selma already knew him. Since her famous sister knows him, Sophia comes to the conclusion that Oren must also be a famous person. Selma revealed that he was one of the members of the hero's party. Sophia was surprised to hear that, as that was the most famous party in the continent. Oren asked Sophia to not to be tense as he was no longer a hero. Selma was also shocked by his statement and came to know that he left the party yesterday. She wondered what made Oliver leave such a man. In her opinion, they had to beg Oren to stay with them. They inquired about the reason for him to leave his party. Oren mentioned that they had their own circumstances and it's something they had agreed on. He refused to reveal that it was due to the last quest and Selma. She inquired him whether he was free and confirmed it. Hearing that question, Oren wondered whether Selma was going to invite him to join her party. But Oren himself was not sure about whether he was interested in it, after what happened last time. Selma started to talk and he interrupted her. He claimed that he didn't want to join any party for a while. Selma explained that he was mistaking something and mentioned that she had the perfect job for him. She wanted Oren to help her in a teaching expedition. Oren was taken back by Selma's unexpected request. It was a collaborative exploration. It's a new plan that they have for the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. A few rookie explorers accompanied by an A-rank explorer will climb to the 51st floor of the southern dungeon for 3 days. Oren felt that it was a reckless plan. It usually takes 6 to 12 months to clear those floors, no matter how skilled that rookie is. Selma also agreed to that but mentioned that it was not impossible if he followed the shortest path. Salama explained that it was because of Rabbit's guild sponsors' expectations. The clan was made to work like there's no tomorrow. But Oren had his doubts about that. If the sponsors were persistent for such a reckless plan, then he knew that there had to be some other reasons for that. After thinking for a time, he found the answer he needed. If the rookies could bypass the boss floor and gain levels, it would strengthen the clan overall. That was their main reason to conduct dungeon exploration for rookies. Selma was shocked to see Oren managing to infer their plans from just her words. He's far smarter than Selma had initially thought. A boss would appear every 10th floor and one had to defeat it in order to proceed to the next level. It's a common occurrence to see rookies dying in those boss battles. But if the veterans like Oren were to distract the boss while the rookies bypass it and register with the teleportation crystals stationed at the entrance, they could advance further without facing the boss. In other words, it would greatly reduce the risk of training new members. Selma revealed that it was indeed their plan. She wanted Oren's help since he was free and wanted him to accompany them. Oren felt suspicious about their actions as it was such an important operation. He wondered why she told him such details to an outsider like him. Selma explained that it was because she values him highly. She realized it during their previous collaborative subjugation. Oren was taken back by that. On one side he was happy to have the strongest enchanter evaluating him highly. On the other side, he wondered on what basis she had those opinions. After all, he was told that his powers were inferior to that of Selma by the hero's party. He wondered if Selma was asking him to be an enchanter again, but he was sure that he would regret that. Oren replied that he was happy that she had high opinion, but he denied her offer as he had his own plans. That's when Sophia called out to him. She revealed that she would also participate in that rookie's exploration. So she would be extremely happy if he could join them. She asked Oren to reconsider it. She asked him with her puppy eyes as if it really was impossible. Just like before, Oren was moved by her. He decided to cooperate, much to the sisters' relief. But he put forth a new condition. Even though Selma valued him highly as an enchanter, he mentioned that he had already converted into a swordsman. He wanted to join that exploration as a swordsman instead of being a supporter. Selma was surprised to hear that, but it was one thing that Oren refused to yield. Selma agreed to that condition as she believed that Oren would act as a professional enchanter if worst comes to worst. She asked him to come to the headquarters of the Rabbit clan as she wanted to explain more about that exploration in regards to the details and rewards. Oren agreed to that and left the restaurant after the dinner. The sisters also left that place. Sophia felt bad about letting Oren pay the money for the food they ate. Selma asked her to not worry as Oren had no intent to let the child Sophia pay for him in the first place. Sophia felt that Oren was a kind and strong person as he had saved her and paid for the food as well. Selma felt the competition and mentioned that she's not lacking behind him in any way. If it's just orcs, Selma was confident that she could kill 100 of them without injuries, and she also loves her more than anyone out there. Sophia also agreed and exclaimed that her sister is the most amazing enchanter and her number one ally. Seeing Sophia's smile, Selma was glad that she was safe. However, she was planning on how to pay back the party that abandoned Sophia. She already knew the name of the party, but Sophia's voice interrupted her thoughts. Selma was so deep in her thoughts that she failed to notice that they had already reached their clan headquarters. She decided to focus on the guys that would partake in the collaborative exploration. She asked Sophia to return to her room first as she had to report what happened that day. Sophia also returned to her room, but she didn't forget to ask her sister to not stay out too late. She exclaimed that she would wait for her return. Selma was touched by that and felt that her sister is the cutest in the world. She went to the captain's room of the Rabbits Guild. There was an average man with spectacles inside the room, and he inquired about what Selma came to report. Selma mentioned that she had 2 things to report. His name is Vince Bryarth, the top brass of the Silver Rabbit in the Sky. In the first year of his role as the leader, he managed to rebuild the clan from a crisis. A person that has the utmost trust and respect from its clan members. Selma mentioned that it was about the hero's party, and Vince went into a deep thought. Selma called him to make him come to his senses. She revealed that Enchanter Oren was parted from the hero's party, and he was surprised to hear that. She confirmed that news as she heard it from that man itself. Vince was sure that was quite a demerit for the hero's party. Without Oren, he was sure that they wouldn't be able to fight to their fullest. Selma also agreed to that as she knew that they were able to climb the floors only because of Oren's support magic. While Oren's support magic is below average, the activation speed of his support magic is at least 4 times faster than Selma. Furthermore, those are his original magic spells that Selma had never seen before. She had witnessed it last month, but she felt that his ability to foresee, assess battle situations and accurately time his support magic was impeccable. She knew that Oren had all the necessary skills needed for an enchanter. So without Oren, it was inevitable that the hero's party would start to deteriorate. So Selma was sure that it was possible for their Rabbit Guild to return to the top with those circumstances. Vince also heard about Oren last month, but he still finds it hard to believe that Oliver fired Oren. Selma felt that it was feasible as it's extremely difficult to evaluate an enchanter after all. Even though Selma was getting the attention of the world, she felt that evaluation was a bit overestimated. The truly skilled ones are like Oren who don't stand out. Vince's ears hurt to hear Selma overpraising another one. Selma gave another shock report about Oren joining the collaborative exploration. But he felt reassured to leave rookies under Oren, but he was worried about what he wanted in return. Selma mentioned that they would discuss those details tomorrow at the headquarters. However, she revealed that Oren might have grasped the situation in their clan while she made the request. It was the issues with the sponsors who were aristocrats. They were obsessed with this plan, and the guild had to do it no matter what. since they would be in trouble if they cut their funds. Vince also agreed that Oren was sharp as he realized that. Since Oren had already left the party, Vince felt that there was no need to be cautious of him. However, he still decided to attend tomorrow's meeting just to be safe. But he inquired Selma about the reason she was interested in him. He wondered if she needed Oren to join her first squad of rabbit clans that she leads. But he had his doubts if Oren would be able to fill the missing piece that the first squad had. They lacked an absolute ace and wondered if there was really anyone who could fill that position. Selma was also not sure about that, but she thought that Oren had the aptitude for that. But Vince had his doubts as Oren was also an enchanter like her. What they needed was a frontline attacker, and Vince didn't want to allow it if there's a problem with the composition of the party because of him. Selma also agreed to that. Since Oren wanted to be a swordsman instead of an enchanter, she thought that relying on him wasn't worth it. They concluded the meeting as they were now assured that exploration would be completed swiftly as they had Oren's help, who had plenty of experience. Selma also finished her report and left that place. Selma was also troubled by the fact that they were not moving forward at all. Even when the heroes' party had decided to self-destruct, they weren't able to improve since last year. She felt tired as there were problems everywhere. Then she remembered Sophia's cute face. She decided to let herself get healed by her for now. The strongest enchanter on the continent has a sister complex, and she has a lot of love for her little sister. The next day, Oren went to the alchemist's shop and met a familiar old man. He wanted to buy healing potions as he would be heading to a great dungeon from tomorrow onwards. The Gramps welcomed Oren to his general store with a warm smile. The Gramps had always treated Oren, who had no relatives, like his own son. So he's somewhat of a granddad to him. Oren asked the Gramps to take his time as he knew that the influx of customers had just calmed down. He was glad that the Grandpa's business was thriving. But the Gramps attributed his success to Oren of the Heroes Party, who advertised his shop, so he was grateful to Oren for that. Oren decided to tell everything to the Gramps. He revealed how he was not a member of the Heroes Party anymore. So he won't be able to advertise the Gramps' goods like before. Since he won't have any influence as he was no longer a part of the Heroes Party. He apologized to the Gramps and felt sad as he wasn't even able to repay someone who had been taking care of him. But the Gramps patted Oren as there was nothing to worry about. He was more than happy to talk with someone like Oren who had a nice character. The Gramps wanted to do business using his own support. He was thankful to Oren as he had already done more than enough for him. Oren was surprised to hear that, and mentioned that he was the one who was thankful for his kindness towards him. The Gramps watched Oren and believed that he had endured quite a lot this time. But Oren didn't want to cry about something like that. Seeing his adamant figure, the Gramps consoled him. He mentioned that it was alright to cry a little when things get painful for him. After hearing his kind words, Oren began to cry and vented his frustration there. He was grateful to the Gramps once again for his kindness. Oren went to the appointed meeting place and greeted Selma there. Selma asked him to follow after her. As they were going on, Selma mentioned that Oren's face seemed brighter than yesterday. She believed that Oren had made his resolve over the Heroes Party. Oren also confirmed that, and they went for a meeting inside the Silver Rabbit headquarters. This had happened in the days that had well passed. Two adults were watching the fight between Oliver and Oren. They praised Oliver's skills as he was someone worthy of the title, hero. But on the other hand, they deemed Oren as an ordinary child, even though he was called a prodigy back in the days. As the fight progressed between them, Oliver managed to knock Oren's sword and defeated him. The two adults also decided to let Oliver carry on their will. They believed that to be an ideal choice. They decided to use the once called prodigy as a shield for the hero. Oren exclaimed that he had lost. But he still smiled and exclaimed that he couldn't beat Oliver anymore. But Oliver was mad as it seemed that Oren hadn't fought him seriously. He didn't want the fight to end easily as he was more amazing than him in the past, but his skills didn't improve for the last few years. Oren believed that Oliver was overestimating him and mentioned that he had indeed fought at his best. He mentioned that Oliver had grown stronger and there's no way he could defeat a genius like him. But Oliver refused to believe that crap. He still didn't believe that he had overtaken Oren and was determined to defeat him when he was serious one day. But Oren still mentioned that he had indeed fought seriously in a carefree manner. But Oliver refused to believe that. He was determined to make Oren fight him seriously. So he left that place with that determination. After Oliver left, Oren, who was on the ground, refused to have a situation where he wanted to fight Oliver seriously. Because he didn't want to kill Oliver and he didn't want him to die because of him. But his thoughts were interrupted by a girl who mentioned it was a shame. The girl's name is Cheyenne and Oren was surprised to see her there. He got up and was embarrassed to let Cheyenne witness his lame figure. But she believed that Oren was cool in that fight. She mentioned that she knew his true abilities. But Oren denied that and mentioned that his weakness was his true ability. He believed that it was all due to his weak resolve. His power was weak in the eyes of the adults who had talent in everything but lacked any special trait. He blamed himself as Oliver had to bear the burden of expectations of his village because of him. He wanted to do something for Oliver. Seeing Oren like that, Cheyenne promised to not leave him alone like that. She wanted to become strong enough to stand beside him. Oren was surprised to hear that. Cheyenne wanted to become strong enough so that they could defeat something in the future. She was the same as Oren and wanted to be always by his side. Even if Oren went beyond her reach, Cheyenne was determined to catch up. That's why she asked him to not shoulder this burden alone. Oren was moved to hear that. He then proposed to walk Cheyenne to the carriage as it was already late. He moved ahead and Cheyenne asked him to wait for her. She then noticed Oren was crying. She believed that he cried because he was moved by her words earlier, but Oren refused that it was not. He wanted Cheyenne to tease him only when she reached his level. Cheyenne countered that since he had been fighting his best earlier, she believed that she had already surpassed him if he was only at that strength. Oren berated Cheyenne for being cheeky as always. Cheyenne mentioned that even though what they said seemed like a joke, she vowed to catch up to him so that they would be able to fight alongside in the future. Until then, she wanted Oren to be her guiding light. Oren also agreed to serve like that so that Cheyenne won't lose her way. He walked with her to the carriage and Cheyenne boarded it. He said his farewell to her. The current Oren apologized to Cheyenne as he couldn't be that guiding light in the end. Because after this something happened to everyone, but it wasn't revealed what it was. Since Oren managed to wake up from his sleep, he felt that it was a strange dream. He couldn't even remember Cheyenne's face after waking up. He couldn't remember anything at all. He went through some precious times, but he had yet to remember them. The fateful day arrived where Oren had to serve as a guide in the exploration for the Silver Rabbit Guild's rookies. He went to the Southern Great Dungeon's entrance where the rookies of the guild were gathered. Selma greeted him there along with her sister, Sophia. Oren also greeted them back and went near them. He noticed that Sophia seemed totally different from before. Sophia wore the guild's rookie uniform and Oren complimented that it looked good on her. Sophia was taken back to hear a compliment and thanked Oren back while blushing. The sister's lover, Selma, was shocked to see her cute sister blushing. She berated Oren for being skilled at flirting and inquired whether he had any lover. Oren denied that and believed that he had gotten used to it as he had lived with female members of the hero's party. Selma came to her senses after that explanation as it was indeed true that the hero's party members lived in the same mansion. Sophia asked Oren about where he was living now and Oren answered that he was living by himself in an inn. He also revealed his plans about finding himself a new house. The sister lover was shocked to see her sister ask that question and wondered if Sophia was planning to live together with Oren. Sophia was embarrassed to hear that and called Selma as stupid. But Selma felt down as she heard the word stupid. Oren couldn't help but laugh at this drama. After some time, they managed to calm down. Selma inquired why Oren was standing at a distance from the group. Oren replied that he didn't want the rookies to feel tense around him as he was an outsider, since it would make them more nervous when they were already looking tense in their first time exploring the dungeon. But Selma planned to use Oren to relieve that tension among the rookies. She asked Sophia to group up with her party members and shocked Oren to follow her. Oren wondered what Selma would make him do. He was sure that there was something definitely going on with that collaborative exploration. With his doubts, he followed Selma. The previous night when he had reached the Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky's headquarters. As per their agreement, he went over to their headquarters. He was introduced to their clan captain, Vince, and was filled in about the plans of the collaborative exploration from Selma. To summarize the points, the exploration will take 3 days. Their destination would be the Great Southern Dungeon, moving from the first floor all the way to the 51st floor. In consideration of the rookies, they would prevent camping outside and return daily when they reached the target number of floors. There would be 10 rookie parties participating in this operation. 5 guide leaders, including Selma and Oren, would be in charge of the parties. The fight with the monsters would be conducted on a rotational basis from the 2 parties. Furthermore, if an unexpected event were to occur, the guild leader would be taking care of it. Selma explained it all and felt glad since Oren was sharp on the wits. But Oren felt that it looked like a forced march. Selma inquired Oren if he had any questions, and Oren mentioned that he indeed had one. He wondered why there were only 5 guide leaders for 10 rookie parties. If they wanted to push through with such a reckless plan, Oren felt that it would be better to bring along several A-rank parties to support the rookie party to reduce the risks. Selma agreed with Oren's opinion that it was such a reckless plan. But she believed that a few risks would lead to the growth of the rookies and believed that it would be a great opportunity for them. But Oren knew that the explanation was just for the surface. That's a plan that focused more on the ends rather than the means. So he knew that there would be more reasons than that. But Oren was sure that they didn't plan on sharing those reasons with him. In the end, he decided to take on that job. Selma thanked him for his help and revealed that the reward would be 2 gold coins in advance, and 10 gold coins when Oren finished the mission. Oren was shocked to hear such a huge amount. He was happy to get a high amount, but he wondered why they were paying him that much. With that amount, he would be able to live normally for at least a year. Selma explained that it was because she values him highly. Oren was surprised to hear that and mentioned that he would do his utmost best at his job tomorrow. The scene shifted to the present where Selma and Oren went to meet the other 3 party guides. But in the last meeting, the captain of theirs didn't even say a word. Oren still had some doubts over the content of his job. As Oren greeted the other 3 guides, he was surprised. Selma introduced Oren to them and vouched for his abilities. The others teased Oren as they could rely on him more, as Selma seemed to have a high opinion about him. Oren became flustered and asked them to not raise the hurdle for him. He then composed himself and introduced himself to others. He introduced himself as a frontline attacker rather than enchanter. The other 3 also introduced themselves. The 2 boys in the group were Arnold and Anselm, who were defenders. The girl's name is Kathy, who was a healer. Oren found that they had only 1 attacker and 1 enchanter. He wondered what they had planned to do if he had joined their team as an enchanter. But he had to agree that it was a balanced composition. He once again felt that there's something odd about this operation. After their introductions, Selma proposed to greet the rookies as well. They gathered all the rookies and Selma gave the speech before them. She revealed their plans about reaching the 51st floor of that dungeon. She could see that everyone was feeling tense as they were scared to advance towards the middle floors so suddenly. Normally, rookies would only enter a dungeon after another year of training. She asked the rookies to not worry as they had invited a strong helper to deal with unexpected events. She introduced Oren to the rookies as someone who had reached the 94th floor, which their guild didn't even accomplish yet. The rookies soon became restless and discussed among them how amazing that was. Since only the heroes party had managed to attain that place, Selma revealed that Oren was part of that. She was sure that he was more familiar than anyone else when it comes to the dungeon. The tense atmosphere soon disappeared and everyone was excited. But Oren became tense as he felt that the rookies were getting way too excited. Since the heroes party was very popular, the students felt that it was easy to accomplish 51st floor with Oren. With a renewed determination, Selma started their exploration. The rookies all cheered with great enthusiasm. On the other hand, Oren was restless. He never thought that Selma would use him to relieve the tension. But she was quite proud of her achievements. She asked everyone to stand by with their parties and asked the guide leaders to do one final checkup. Oren asked why Selma had made the rookies too excited as he was concerned about it. But Selma felt that it was fine and asked the guide to lead them thoroughly. She then asked Oren to be responsible for the 9th and 10th squadron. She revealed that the 10th squad had the most promising ones of all. If they refined their teamwork, Selma was sure that they would be able to proceed smoothly without much issues. So she counted on Oren for his guidance. But Oren felt uncomfortable as the guild left the promising rookies to an outsider like him. He introduced himself to the rookies and they were all excited to have Oren as their guide. Oren was shocked to find the reaction from them which he would get because he was being in the hero's party. Soon he noticed that Sophia was also in the 10th squad and she smiled brightly at him. He then asked everyone for their names and positions. He also confirmed that no one was late and absent from both of those squads. The 10th squad, which had Sophia, had only 3 members in it. He found it rare as the fewer members there were in the party, the more dangerous it was. It was especially higher if they were rookies. The boy in the 10th squad explained that it was because no one was able to keep up with them. Oren was disappointed to see that boy's action. They may be promising, but he was too confident of his abilities, which made Oren worry about his future. In the end, he decided to ask everyone to start their introductions. The boy from the 10th squad introduced himself as Logan Hayward, who was also the leader of that squad. His position is an enchanter and he proclaimed himself as a man who would surpass Selma, the world's best enhancer, once day. Oren became dejected to see a confident one. Next, another girl raised her hand. She introduced herself as Caroline Inglod and her position is defender. Oren inquired why she was wearing only light armor if she was a defender. He wondered if she was gonna change it when they were gonna head in. But Caroline proclaimed herself as a defender who doesn't wear any kind of gear or armor. Oren became dejected once again and found that she was an evasion-type defender. Caroline explained that she didn't like to touch those magical beasts. But she also wants to kill as many of them as possible. So she became the position that is closest to them. Evasion-type defenders usually use their speed to hold the monsters in one place instead of confronting them. Caroline seemed to want to fight like that. But Oren knew that the evasion defender would find it difficult to accumulate battle experience. So he wondered why no one objected to her role in deciding that position. Logan explained that Caroline stuck to that position even though many objected to her choice. Caroline counters that Logan would always ignore the instructions of the instructors and he didn't get to slang her. Logan proclaimed that he was exempted from listening as he was excellent. In the end, Oren found that they were all problem childs. In the end, Sophia introduced herself and her position as a magician and a rear attacker. She greeted Oren with a warm smile. Oren didn't know why, but that normal introduction put him at ease. Sophia went to stop the quarreling Logan and Caroline. Oren watched that and believed that his mission was a lot harder than he had thought. They all entered the dungeon and the collaborative exploration finally began. Even though the rookies were all fired up earlier, Oren was amazed to see them become quiet after entering the dungeon. Caroline called out to Oren and asked why someone from the hero's party was joining them for exploration. She wondered if they didn't find the Silver Rabbit as their rival clan. Oren explained that he was no longer a part of the hero's party and Selma had already mentioned it in her speech. She knew that the hero's party was always cautious of the Silver Rabbit and paid attention to their activities. So she wondered why Oren had quit. She felt that it was such a waste for Oren to quit that party as it was a target of admiration. Oren didn't like her to probe into his past. Even though it seemed that Caroline didn't look like she had any ulterior motives, Oren was not good with people like that. He refused to explain and Caroline teased him as a cheapskate. Then she confirmed that Oren was acquainted with Sophia. She revealed that Sophia had been telling them that a fantastic person was going to join them for this operation. Sophia became embarrassed to hear that. Caroline was sure that the fantastic person was Oren and Sophia also confirmed that. She revealed that she was once saved by Oren before. She clearly saw how strong he was. Furthermore, he was from the hero's party and her sister, Selma, also said that she would be relieved if Oren was there. She vouched for Oren's abilities. Caroline listened to it and inquired why she wasn't loosening up a little more since they had someone from the hero's party. Oren remarked about how he had already left the hero's party. But Oren clearly noticed Caroline's actions. She had initiated a conversation to loosen Sophia's tensions. He was surprised to find that Caroline was a thoughtful girl. They moved further into the dungeon, but the monsters spotted them. It was a pair of wolves. It considered them as easy prey and leaped forward to attack them. Oren noticed them and a magic circle activated from the ground. Soon sharp stone pillars emerged and killed those wolves. Both of the wolves died by having their bodies with numerous holes. Oren confirmed that the traps had been working properly. It's a time-based magic trap. To time the trap, it takes a certain degree of skill, but the moment one sets it up, it's hard for anyone to notice it. If it goes smoothly, they would be able to deal with the monsters on their rear without much effort. Since their time was extremely limited, they couldn't afford to waste any time with pointless combat there. They managed to reach the 20th floor of the dungeon. Caroline inquired Oren about how far till they had to reach the floor's boss. Oren answered that it would take 10 minutes if they continued at their current pace. Caroline felt bored as the 10th floor finished early. But Oren was glad as it seemed that they would be able to finish earlier than they had planned without any problems. He had been observing the three of them and how they fought. He had his doubts about that three-man squad initially, but they were fine. Firstly, Logan. He thought Logan was just an arrogant rookie, but his skills as an enchanter were definitely high. If Logan could keep up with the long-term combat, Oren was sure that he would be able to fit into an A-rank party without any problems. He was a prodigy without a doubt. Though, Oren felt that it was unfortunate that his instructions as an enchanter were mediocre. But he was sure that Logan could become stronger if he accumulated combat experiences. Secondly, Caroline. She's aiming to be a speed-based defender. Though she might possess great speed, she had two flaws. The first flaw is that she had a tendency to rush in recklessly. A defender fighting closely was good, but Oren got worried watching her do it. Her second flaw was that she wielded two daggers. Its compatibility with her may be good, but it didn't pair up with her party's skill sets. That was all he could think about them. Lastly, Sophia. She seemed inferior compared to the other two, but her skills had already surpassed that of a rookie's standard. Though her indecisiveness was a problem, it could be compensated for if she interacted more with her team members. She didn't seem to have any obvious flaws as a rookie, so Oren was interested in her growth in the future. The 9th squad he was in charge of also had room for improvement. Soon they heard a huge growl of a monster. It seemed the other three guides had managed to defeat the 20th floor boss monster. They stopped at the 20th floor for that day, but Oren didn't expect it to go that smoothly. He believed that he had underestimated the Silver Rabbit Guild. Selma complimented everyone for their work. She wanted to go to the 21st floor, but that was scheduled for the next day. So she asked everyone to register their card on that floor as they could teleport there from the entrance. The rookies lined up and registered their cards. Everyone was happy with their achievements. In the end, everyone teleported to the entrance of the dungeon instead of camping there. Selma thanked Oren for his hard work. Oren also complimented her. Selma then inquired about the rookies. Oren explained that the 9th squad had room for improvements and the 10th squad was exceptional as she had said. But their coordination was non-existent. Oren especially worried about Caroline as it would affect her if she remained like that. Selma explained that Caroline might be like that, but she had improved a lot compared to the past. Oren wondered how Caroline was in the past. They ended their conversation there and planned to meet there the next day. The next day, Oren woke up and read the newspaper. He exclaimed that it had turned out as he had feared. What was written on one side of the newspaper is the exclusive coverage of the replacement of the hero's party enchanter. In other words, the expulsion of Oren Dura was exposed to the whole world. His friend, who was also the leader of the hero's party, explained that the biggest reason for the replacement was Oren's lack of skills. The Sword Saint mentioned that they didn't know that Oren's abilities were below average. In other words, despite letting such disappointment remain in the party, they still managed to reach the unprecedented 94th floor of the dungeon. Philly Carpenter, who joined yesterday, is an explorer who is active in the Western Great Dungeon. She was considered as the best enchanter in the continent, who is on par with Selma Claude. There were great expectations for the heroes' party now that a great replacement had been included. Oren hoped that they wouldn't publish that until the collaborative subjugation had ended. He was worried that if the rookies knew about this, their glittering eyes would change for the worse. Especially Logan from the 10th squad. Oren wondered if such a prideful individual would be able to follow his instructions after seeing that. Oren knew that not all the rookies would be able to read this newspaper. But it would be easy to imagine the change in their perspective of him if they had read that article. Oren felt that it was pointless to think about it further. So he decided to go to the meeting point. That's when a girl with blue hair and blue eyes called him. Her name is Runa Flockhart, who is the healer of the heroes' party. She greeted him with a sad face. But Oren knew that the last time they had met was only 4 days ago. While the treatment of Oren was getting worse in the heroes' party, Runa was the only one who treated him with kindness. When Oren was expelled, she was away for personal matters. Oren wondered what would have happened if Runa was there in that room. But he soon berated himself for still having some lingering regrets in the heroes' party. Oren inquired where Runa wanted anything from him. Runa pleaded with Oren to return to the heroes' party as they need his skills. Oren already had a feeling that Runa was going to say that, since he knew that she values him quite highly after all. Oren explained that it was not the opinion of the whole party as he already read the newspaper. Runa explained that it was her own plea. She vowed to do her best to persuade everyone if Oren were to return. Oren found that Runa was clearly serious about bringing him back. But he also knew that it's already too late for that. The moment that article was published, Oren had lost his chance to return to his party. Furthermore, he explained that he had no plans of returning. Runa apologized as she didn't know what the article said as she hadn't read it yet. But she wanted him to honor the promise they made that they would clear the Great Dungeon together. Oren countered that the promise was made by 3 of them, including Oliver. Now that Oliver had chased him out, that promise didn't hold any meaning anymore. Runa still tried to persuade him, but Oren decided to end their conversation as he knew that it would only be a hassle. He left that place after apologizing to her. Runa stood there and watched Oren leaving the place quietly with sadness. Oren also wanted to continue getting along with them and fulfill that promise. But he couldn't return, nor did he have a place to return now, as it's all ended ever since that day. Oren once again realized that it was too late to have any hopes up. Oren's fear came true as the news of his expulsion from the heroes' party soon spread around the rookies. They clearly gossiped about it in front of him. The reason included in the newspaper was that the Oren lacked any abilities. Seeing Oren there, the rookies greeted him. But Oren clearly noticed the difference from yesterday. Even though they had managed to fire them up, he knew that it was all a waste due to the article. He decided to wait at a distance to reduce the confusion among them. Selma came running there and apologized as she didn't manage to clarify that confusion as an exploration leader. Oren believed that Selma had nothing to apologize for. He also mentioned that Selma's panicking would make the exploration fall apart. Selma apologized for revealing that Oren was from a heroes' party yesterday as it was a matter that should be treated cautiously. Oren explained that it was his fault for not disclosing his expulsion reason to them. He asked Selma to do her usual as he would do his part to support the exploration. Hearing that, Selma calmed down. They both decided to start the second day of the exploration. Oren made his way to the meeting place of the 9th and 10th squad. Sophia and Caroline greeted him as usual, but Logan and 9th squad members greeted him with disappointment. Oren greeted them back. He inquired whether they had all read the article about him. They all remained silent and it was evident that everyone knew about it. Oren revealed that all of them were true and he was kicked out of the heroes' party due to his lack of abilities. So he was not the kind of hero everyone thinks of him. The 9th squad began to chatter after hearing that. Oren apologized for not telling them before. Sophia shouted that Oren was really strong, which shocked all the rookies. She exclaimed that Oren managed to defeat a dozen of orcs instantly. That's why she believed Oren didn't lack in abilities. Oren was thankful for Sophia's trust in him. He explained to the other students that he has the ability to bring everyone to the 51st floor of the dungeon. Even though he was not a part of the heroes' party, he swore as Oren Dura that he would protect them. The rookies began to fire up just like the day before, and Oren asked them to do their best on that day. They shouted with a renewed determination. They managed to reach the 23rd floor, and the rookies performed well. Oren was glad that they started to trust him again. He was supposed to be giving out orders as a guidance leader that day, so it would have been bad if that grim atmosphere were to linger. Especially the 9th squad, they tend to respond slower if they were to follow the theories without the trust they have. It wouldn't have gone that smoothly. Then he sensed the presence of demon beasts ahead and inquired the 10th squad if they were ready. They also prepared for the combat as Oren instructed. One orc and numerous goblins emerged before them. Oren asked Caroline to get the attention of the goblins. He then asked Logan to support Caroline with support magic. He asked Sophia to deal with the orcs at the rear. Oren then noticed Logan as he was pretty interested in his support magic. Logan began to construct magic circles of amplify strength, amplify magic and amplify abilities before him and casted it on Caroline. Oren was amazed to see that Logan was capable of casting 3 support magics despite being a rookie. There was nothing to point out regarding his magic abilities. Caroline also rushed ahead as usual and killed the goblins. Oren found that there were no problems with the two of them. But the problem was with Sophia. She was attacked by orcs the other day, so she was frozen from the trauma she received from them. Oren asked her to calm herself and assured her that she would be fine. He also mentioned that she has teammates now, so she would not be abandoned just like before. Seeing the orc nearing them, Oren casted the agility debuff magic on it. He assured Sophia that he would support her even if she made mistakes. Once again, he mentioned that she was not alone. That's why he asked her to go all out. Sophia regained her spirit and decided to show what she could do. Oren believed that Sophia would be fine as she was not the lost child from the dungeon like before. Sophia casted a powerful magic spell and concentrated without considering the surroundings. She launched the spell Fire Javelin at the orc with her full strength. Everyone was surprised after seeing the impact of Sophia's spell. Logan and Caroline also stopped on their tracks. Though Oren asked Sophia to go all out, he certainly didn't expect her to use advanced magic. As everyone was in shock, Caroline went ahead and praised Sophia for her skills. She hugged Sophia and she was glad that it went well. Oren complimented that it was an excellent attack. Sophia thanked him for his compliment. Though the battles after that were as tough, they had managed to reach 36th floor, which was their goal, and returned to the surface safely. Outside the dungeon, Selma praised everyone and asked them to prepare for the last day of exploration. After she dismissed the meeting, the other two defenders, Ansem and Bernard, asked Oren to wait. They wanted to grab some dinner after that and invited Oren to join them. Oren was glad that they didn't think badly of him because of that article, and he agreed to join them. Since they didn't interact during exploration, he thought that would be an excellent opportunity. At the same time, Logan inquired whether Sophia was acquainted with Oren. Sophia explained that Oren saved her when she was in the dungeon 3 days before. Sophia revealed that she went with a stray party and Caroline berated her for doing such a dangerous thing. Logan asked Sophia to tell him more about Oren, about how he was back them as detailed as she could. Sophia was surprised and confused at the same time. Logan explained that he wanted to know about what kind of magic Oren cast and his fighting style. Sophia mentioned that Oren used a spell that made a tremendous pressure which was called Shockwave. She also remembered Oren using support magic to enhance his sword. To the confused Logan, Sophia explained that Oren used that sword to defeat all the orcs quickly. Logan found that Oren could use both sword and magic. Sophia revealed that Oren converted into a swordsman after leaving the hero's party, though she was not sure about his circumstances. Logan was shocked to hear that, as it didn't even make sense to him. He saw how Oren acted his part as an enchanter perfectly that day. He had a misunderstanding this morning after reading the article. He was disappointed when he read that he was expelled from the party, which had betrayed his expectations. He followed his instructions because of his role, even though their first battle was handled with theory, though it was boring to him. But what changed his view about Oren was that fight with Orc. Logan realized that the Orc's movement was suddenly dampened and Oren had already activated agility debuff on it. A support magic that lowers the target abilities. Debuff is a high-level magic that is difficult to cast. One needs to accurately grasp the target's magical resistance and precisely alter the magic formula for it to work. Even Selma hardly used such difficult magic, and yet Oren was able to use it casually. Logan was amazed by Oren's skills. The first time they fought according to theory, which was conducted to evaluate their skills. When that's done, efficient instructions are given to them based on their quirks and skills. Logan knew that Oren instructions had made them advance without any issues. Even though it was only slightly different from how Logan fought, he felt as if his skills grew exponentially. Compared to his instructions, the differences were apparent. Oren was precisely the enchanter he expected to be. Logan realized that Oren was an enchanter who even surpassed those expectations. So Logan was confused why Oren had changed into a frontline attacker. Caroline asked Sophia whether Oren was strong even as a frontline attacker. Sophia confirmed it, as he was able to defeat dozens of orcs in an instant. Sophia and Caroline praised Oren's abilities and wanted to become like him one day. But Logan was even more confused to hear that Oren was an excellent frontline attacker. Even though he was called a prodigy by a bunch of people, but he felt that Oren was a genuine prodigy. But he won't give up. Logan was determined to succeed as an explorer no matter what. He wanted to steal what he could from Oren and wanted to get even stronger. Caroline noticed Logan's weird expression and inquired whether was tired. Logan explained that he was just fired up for tomorrow's exploration. So the 10th squad returned to their room with a new determination. Oren and other guide leaders went to the Silver Rabbit affiliated restaurant to have dinner. They decided to drink that night and inquired Oren to tell about himself more. Bernard only asked him to mention the things he wanted. He was considerate to Oren since he knew about his expulsion. But Bernard wasn't afraid of hangovers, as he had a special constitution that could help him with that. But Oren countered that even a lack of sleep is a bad idea. Another guide leader, Anselm, asked Bernard to control himself as they needed to instruct and protect rookies. He wanted to be vigilant even though it was just the middle floors. But Bernard still wanted to drink till midnight, as he gave up to Anselm and Oren. Oren was surprised to find them both as regulars of such an expensive restaurant, and he believed that explorers of Silver Rabbit have their privileges. Anselm denied that, as their earnings paled compared to the heroes' party. They both wanted to eat all the delicious food without any regrets, as exploring is a life-threatening job. They wondered whether Oren didn't live such a luxurious life. Oren clarified that he didn't experience such luxuries. Since he was in charge of the party's administration process, he didn't have the time to play around. Bernard then decided to ask him some private questions. He inquired whether the heroes' party members were having some disagreement among themselves. Normally, Oren wouldn't disclose such information, but he was quite irritated with the article. He wondered if it's okay except for things that should be avoided. Oren explained that they were not in complete disagreement, but he agreed that they pretty much enjoyed their free time privately. Their hobbies and interests differ, and they also hardly ate together as a party. Bernard and Anselm were shocked to hear such private information. They wondered whether it was okay for Oren to reveal such things. He agreed that they had some disagreement. Oren felt that there was no problem, as their leader Oliver was feigning ignorance this time, so he assured them it would be fine. Afterwards, Bernard inquired why Oren changed form enchanter to frontline attackers. He also noticed Oren used magic during combat as well. So he wondered what was Oren's best skill. Oren explained that he was a swordsman now, even though he used support magic during the collaborative explorations. He converted into a swordsman following his exit from the heroes' party. Bernard then asked him why he changed into a swordsman. Oren explained that he was initially a swordsman in the heroes' party. It was the position he had the most admiration when he was kid. So he decided to return to being a swordsman as he thought it was an excellent opportunity. Anselm also supported Oren to follow his passion. He wondered whether Oren's parents were swordsmen, and Oren denied that and explained that his grandfather was a swordsman. In the past, a monster attacked their village once. His ex-explorer grandpa defeated it with just one sword. He had also wanted to be a swordsman after witnessing such a spectacle. But now Anselm was confused why Oren changed into enchanter in the first place if he had that much admiration for swordsmen. Oren explained that it was a trigger that took place when the hero's party went to the lower floors of the dungeon. They noticed their pace was getting slower. The floor space was more expansive and the monsters got more robust as they went lower. But in the past, they had no idea as they didn't have such information with them. Originally they should have improved their abilities. A special circumstance gave them no choice but to increase their pace. That's when they found out about the importance of an enchanter due to Selma's evaluation. It falls on Oren, who was jack of all trades back then. Oren also had a few ideas for him to be the ideal swordsman, and magic was included in that. That's why he decided to take that job. Anselm thought that it was the reason that they were able to reach the 94th floor. But Oren felt that it was a wrong move. Bernard and Anselm were surprised to hear that. Oren felt that even if he was a complete enchanter, he shouldn't rush the pace and strive to improve his abilities at that time. Bernard and Anselm came to know about Oren's true feelings. Oren, who vented his frustration, explained that he was just being harsh on his past self. That's all he was willing to say to them, as any further information would be much more private. But little did anyone expect that the hero's party would never be able to reach the 94th floor ever again. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Bernard inquired what was Oren's ideal swordsman like. Oren thought about it, and explained that he wanted to be an amazing jack of all trades. Seeing them confused, Oren simplified it. He wanted to become a swordsman who is capable of clearing the deepest floor of the dungeon alone. He wanted to be the first precedent for that. They were shocked to hear that, as no one was able to achieve that feat till that day. Still, they encouraged Oren that he could do it. At the same time, in the Silver Rabbit clan headquarters, the living area, shared bath. Caroline was taking a bath and she lamented about having the exploration ending tomorrow. She wanted to go much deeper. Sophia was near her and Caroline exclaimed that being split from Oren was also rather sad. Sophia also became disappointed as she won't be able to see Oren after tomorrow. Sophia felt that it would be nice if Oren joined the Silver Rabbit clan after that. Caroline inquired why Sophia didn't ask him that. She felt that Oren would join their clan if Sophia asked him. Caroline was sure that Oren would do that if Sophia wished. But Sophia countered that Oren was different from her sister, Selma. But she was sure that she would feel lonely if she won't be able to see Oren again. So she planned to ask him whether they could see him even after the collaborative exploration was over. The next day, Oren reached the meeting point as usual. It was the last day of the exploration of the Mammoth clan, Silver Rabbit of the Night Sky. He hoped to end things without any problems that day. When he was walking through, he heard the gossip that the newly formed heroes party was going to the lower floors. They had planned to stop at the 92nd floor to test out their teamwork. Oren was surprised to see them move fast. He assumed that they would be taking it easy for a while. Nevertheless, they planned to drag a new member straight towards the 92nd floor. He berated them for not testing their teamwork at much easier floors. They were acting impulsively, but Oren felt that it was not his problem anymore. He would have never thought that his fear would come true in the worst possible way. 2 days before, at the heroes' party residence, the new enchanter, Philly Carpenter, joined the heroes' party. She thanked them for picking her. Heroes' party defender, Derek, and magician, Annalie, were present there. The leader Oliver also attended the celebration to welcome the new enchanter to his party. He was called the Sword Master, the masterful and renowned explorer throughout the continent. Oliver was glad to have a real enchanter in their party. He felt that they wouldn't need to receive a shabby buff anymore and could experience a real buff. But Philly was surprised to see that they had prepared an expensive meal for them. Derek explained that it was not much trouble as their nagging safekeeper had finally gone. He was surprised to find that they had stored an amazing amount of money from the ledger Oren stored. Derek felt that his eyeballs would fall out from the large sum saved there. Annalie also agreed with such surprise. She criticized Oren for being a cheapskate and believed that money is meant to be spent. Oliver was surprised to hear that. He knew that he left the management of funds to Oren, but he never thought that he stored that much money. He was also reminded that he never asked Oren about their savings all this time. Derek framed Oren that he must have saved the amount to use it for himself and believed that Oren would have used them without their knowledge. They were once again sure that expelling Oren was the right decision. Philly wondered whether they were not the funds for the party's activities. Derek denied that and mentioned that they used their own money for those matters. Philly clarified that and mentioned other expenditures like the mansion's rent. Derek thought about that. He proposed the idea to buy the mansion as they could sell it when they would leave the city. Annalie praised that idea and planned to spend the remaining money. Oliver asked them to stop as they were in the middle of celebration for Philly. He wanted to talk about those later. Oliver cheered with his expensive wine and welcomed Philly to their party. Suddenly, the door opened. Runa came running there and wanted to clarify something with everyone. She was surprised to see a guest there. Oliver asked her what she wanted to talk about. But Runa refused to talk about it there. Seeing her panicked expression, Oliver could say that she wanted to talk about what happened with Oren. He had already told Runa about his plans on expelling Oren from their party, but she kept disagreeing with it. That's why they expelled Oren when she was not present. Oliver knew that he couldn't avoid her criticism as she seemed to hold some special affection towards Oren. Oliver wanted to hear her opinions there itself. Runa revealed that Oren went into the Great Dungeon with his Silver Rabbit clan and she asked Oliver how things had turned out like that. Oliver was shocked to hear that. He never thought that the enemy clan would accept a worthless enchanter like him. He wondered if Oren had already betrayed them as they were only 3 days since he was expelled. But he was sure that Oren didn't have guts nor skills to do that. Annalie and Derek berated Oren for acting like AS rank without knowing his place. But Runa ignored those comments and inquired Oliver to explain to her about that. Oliver wanted to explain the story before things get complicated as calmly as possible. But Annalie intervened and revealed that the Jack of all trades left the party 3 days ago. Runa was shocked to hear that. She felt that Oren had finally given up on them. Derek became mad when Runa sounded like they were the ones who got abandoned. He clarified that it was the other way around. He revealed that they were the ones who chased him out. Runa turned to Oliver and inquired whether it was all true. Even though Oliver wanted to explain calmly, the other two had already broken the egg. So Oliver accepted it and showed Philly as their new enchanter replacement. Runa was pretty sure that she made it clear she was against Oren's expulsion, so she wondered why Oren was expelled when she was gone. Derek berated Runa for ignoring their new enchanter. But Runa even ignored Derek. He got mad at that and went ahead to fight. But Oliver intervened and asked him to stop his bickering. He explained to Runa that they would never be able to improve with Oren's weak abilities. But Runa didn't understand their motives. She knew that Oren was a pillar that supported their party. She knew that they had been able to come far because of Oren. So she was sure that they wouldn't be able to advance any further without Oren. The atmosphere soon became tense within the mansion. Oliver felt that Runa was overestimating Oren for some reason. But in reality, they were the ones who underestimated Oren. He wanted to handle that matter objectively. But Annalie once again intervened. She asked Runa to stop her illusions and accept the truth. She also berated Runa for being young and used that as a reason for her immaturity. Since it already happened, there would be no way but to accept it even if Runa didn't like it. In the end, just like Oren said, she wasn't able to change anything. Since they were already there, Runa wanted to talk about tomorrow's dungeon expedition. She didn't believe that they would be able to capture the 94th floor at once, as it was a reckless move. Philly apologized as she wasn't able to support them quickly. But Oliver didn't mind that and mentioned that it was fine since they were comrades now. But Runa was still against their plans to go to the 92nd floor. Derek became mad once again and accused Runa for disrupting their party's harmony. But Runa clarified that she didn't have any suicidal intentions. Oliver assured her that they wouldn't die even if they went to the 92nd floor. Since they had reached the 94th floor with Oren, he believed that Philly, a superior enchanter, would increase their levels. Runa countered that they need to try out their synergy on easier floors even if Philly was a competent enchanter. Oliver became quite mad at Runa's persistence. He wondered how long Runa would continue to see Oren's non-existent illusions. He wanted to make her face reality and proclaimed that it had already been decided. Since he was the leader, he announced that there was no room for refusal. Runa left the room after hearing that, without bothering to attend the newcomers' party. She once again realized that it was all over. As she left, Annalie and Derek berated her for supporting Oren. Oliver and Philly discussed how Runa was close with Oren, and she needed time to get along with her. Philly also understood that and showed that she wasn't upset with Runa's behavior. She then mumbled that it's not gonna be easy anyway and felt annoyed. Oliver overheard her mumbling and inquired about it. Philly managed to hide her thoughts and mentioned that she wanted to get along with Runa soon. It seemed that the heroes' party had recruited a troublesome enchanter in the place of Oren. The next day, they raided the 92nd floor as per their plan. Oliver charged ahead and faced the huge monster alone. But no matter how much he attacked it, he wasn't able to defeat it like always, which made him irritated. He was also mad as the buff wore off so quickly. The physical abilities after a buff end would always feel like a large amount of weight attached to the whole body. If repeated, it would become a considerable burden both physically and mentally. In the case of Oren, they were able to work together without any problems in about an hour on the first day. But that was not the case with Philly, as it's been a few hours since they entered the dungeon. Oliver asked Philly to buff him again as it had already ended. Philly apologized as she wasn't able to time it correctly. She then began to cast her support magic. Oliver wondered whether it would take a while to get used to it. He had to agree that Oren was better than Philly only in that aspect. Even so, after coming to the 92nd floor, he noticed that Philly's atmosphere seemed to have changed. But he dismissed thoughts as it was just his imagination. He decided to rely on her. Since Derek and Oliver were vanguards, they would have many blind spots. So he asked Philly to warn them if any magic beasts approached them there. Philly was shocked to have another job. Oliver thought that enchanters could see the whole battlefield and Philly could do it. But Philly deemed it as impossible as she already had her hands full with using support magic alone. She was quite tired as she had used her support magic many times that day. Oliver wondered whether it was a little hard of him to ask Philly to do something that Oren had been doing for them for a decade. Then, he noticed that the monster wasn't defeated after a long time. He reminded Annalie that they were on lower floors, so he asked her to get serious and not to use such low-power magic. But Annalie denied that and mentioned that she was just using the magic as she would as usual. Even so, the magic she casted was weaker than normal. Oliver was shocked to see the usual firepower of Annalie. Derek berated Oliver for taking his anger out on others as they were also not at their best that day. He believed that they were in a slump. Oliver could also feel his own attack power weakening. His sword was always reliable when he wanted it to, but it wasn't today. His physical ability had improved dramatically with support magic, but he struggled to go against the weak monsters. It was evident that Derek was also getting pushed back by the monsters of the 92nd floor, which they had defeated easily in the past. He cursed himself and wondered how they got that weak. Everyone in the party felt miserable at their own powerlessness. That's when Runa berated them for not knowing something so simple. Oliver inquired Runa if she knew why they were like that. He also noticed that only Runa was the same as usual. Runa was too exasperated to even say anything. Annalie shouted at Runa to tell them the reason, and berated her for her attitude when her comrades were having trouble. Runa also felt that she had no choice since they were still comrades. She then proceeded to explain the reason why they were so weak. But suddenly she felt a huge magic pressure surrounding her. Everyone turned to see the source of the huge magic power, which was a flying monster. Oliver noticed the shiny black scales and enormous wings that covered the whole body. He was shocked to find that monster which kept approaching them. It was the 92nd floor's boss, the Black Dragon, and that's how Oren's premonition hit the mark. The Black Dragon's scales were like tar, they were almost immune to any kind of attack. It could take a man down at a moment's notice, and its aura was terrifying. Such a monster approached the hero's party now. Oliver was shocked to see the Black Dragon there. The bosses of the Southern Great Dungeon must be on every 10 floors until the 90th floor, and from 91st floor, each floor would have one boss. The floor boss is a powerful monster, and it's impossible to defeat the similar ones in close combat, and the range of the boss is limited to its locations. They couldn't go beyond his territory and attack. Beside the Black Dragon is the boss of the 92nd floor, which they had already defeated once with Oren. They were shocked to find it outside of its territory. Since they were already out of the zone, Oliver wondered what the hell was going on. The Black Dragon attacked them with a dragon roar. Derek and Oliver were thrown away by that. Oliver realized how terrifying of a monster it was once again. He saw Derek severely injured by the Black Dragon attack, and Runa acted quickly and healed him. He called out to Philly for support, but it was too late as Philly was in a shock due to the dragon's roar. He didn't even know what the hell was going on. In the past, at this time, Oren would have buffed Derek and Oliver at this time. He wondered why Philly was not better at it than Oren. He was in a state of panic, and only Runa's voice made him come out of his thinking. Runa proposed to retreat as she knew that they didn't stand a chance against it. But Oliver didn't want to do that. He was confident of his abilities, so he refused to hear Runa's advice. He went ahead and shook Philly to make her return to her senses. He then asked her to buff him so that he could whack the Black Dragon. Philly casted Total Improvement on Oliver, which boosted all his stats. Oliver had also felt his power rising to some extent, so he thought that he could do it. He didn't expect that to happen, but he wanted to do his best. He decided to use all of his powers to overcome that situation. He gathered his magic into the sword and attacked the dragon using the skill, Magic Convergence. Philly was shocked to see Oliver's sword shining gold. Runa explained that it was Oliver's innate power. It's a completely different ability from human magic and monster magic. Oliver's ability, Magic Convergence, gathers magic from the surroundings. It was a basic principle, but it created a destructive power that was unmatched by ordinary magic. It was a light of spiritual energy, which was also the law of destruction. He was determined to attack the Black Dragon with his most powerful ultimate technique. He attacked the Black Dragon with Celestial Cut skill. It caused a huge explosion after that. Oliver believed that he caused considerable damage to it. During the previous subjugations, this skill had destroyed the dragon's wings. This time he aimed its wings again, so it won't be able to chase them even if they retreat. They prepared to leave the place. That's when the smoke, which was caused by Oliver's attack, cleared and the Black Dragon emerged from it. Oliver was shocked to find that Black Dragon unharmed. It decided to attack Oliver, who it considered as the most threatening. Annalie warned Oliver, but it was too late. Within a split second, it attacked Oliver. He was sent flying into the distance, which shocked every member of the party. Oliver managed to block that attack, but he was surprised to see that his Celestial Cut didn't work on it. The dragon also decided to maintain the distance from the hero's party, as it had also used much of its magical power. The hero's party was in a predicament, and Oliver couldn't think of a way to get out of that situation. Runa approached Oliver and inquired whether he was okay. Oliver expressed his concern to her. He wanted to know what to do in that kind of situation with a fearful face. Runa berated him as it was his job as the leader. She then asked him to stay still and treated his injuries. After healing him, Runa suggested using the door. The portable door connects two places, and it was a magical tool that could be only used in the dungeon. However, they would appear inside a boss area of the upper floors. But they considered that situation as many times better than fighting a black dragon. Oliver also decided to follow Runa's suggestion. He revealed that plan to everyone and asked them to prepare for it. He had to admit that they had lost. He soon activated the door and asked everyone to enter. But the black dragon also noticed their plan. It soon sent a huge shockwave and repelled everyone. With that shockwave, Oliver and others weren't able to reach the door. Oliver was surprised as the black dragon had never done that in their previous subjugation. The black dragon charged at them with full speed. Seeing that, Oliver ordered everyone to get out of the way. As they managed to avoid it, it separated them totally from the door. Runa was sure that the black dragon had managed to see through their intentions. She didn't know what to do after that. But surprisingly, the black dragon made its way through the door and ignored the hero's party. Soon a bright light enveloped the whole floor. When the light subsided, the black dragon and the door disappeared from that place. Runa and Oliver were shocked to find that the dragon used the door they created. Annalie was relieved as they were safe. Runa berated her for saying that as that was the worst possible situation. The dragon could appear anywhere and they would be blamed for any damages it would cause. They never thought that the door would work with monsters. Derek inquired about their future plans. Runa wanted to go back to the Adventurer Guild to ask them to use Force Return. It was a guild map ability that would force all the people out of the dungeon. Since they won't know where the black dragon would appear, it was the best course of action. The guild would impose some kind of penalty on them, but they were not in a position to say anything about it. They decided to return to the surface quickly. Oliver couldn't believe that the situation turned out like that. As they were returning to the surface, Runa called out Oliver. Since they need to find and kill the black dragon again, she proposed to include Oren again in their party. They also need to investigate each boss area. Everyone in the party was shocked to hear that. But Runa was adamant about it, even though she felt sad to drag Oren into the mess they created. She proclaimed that they need Oren's strength. Runa wanted to find Oren as he was inside the dungeon with the Silver Rabbit Guild. She wanted to convince Oren to join them. But Derek refused, as he believed that they wouldn't need the help of incompetent Oren. He believed that they were in a slump. Runa couldn't believe Derek kept saying that. She reminded them their conversation they had before the black dragon appeared. She was about to disclose why they were in a slump. Runa clarified that their skills were always at that level. But Oliver couldn't be able to believe it, as he used that same celestial cut to defeat the black dragon last time. Runa explained that the answer was simple. She revealed that it was because Oren wasn't with them. She explained that the amplification of Philly was so weak and that was why the celestial cut was useless. It was the real power of Oliver's skill. But Oliver refused to believe that. Runa further explained that Oren had created his own unique spells to boost Oliver's offense, Derek's defense, and Annalie's magic power. She then inquired whether Oliver knew how the support magic works. Oliver explained that the power of enhancement depends on the spell and the duration of the buff depends on who the effect was applied to. The average duration of the effect was 3 minutes. After that, the spellcaster should have to refresh the buffs. Oliver inquired Philly whether what he said was all correct. Philly also confirmed that. But she explained that their party members had a much higher magic resistance than average, so the buff effects would only be able to last for less than 2 minutes. In Oliver's case, his magic resistance was exceptional. The buff could only sustain him for a minute. Oliver was shocked to hear that for the first time. Still, he believed that Philly was better than Oren as her skill level is higher than him. Runa also agreed to Oliver's opinion, but she reminded him that would only apply if Oren was a normal caster like everyone. Oliver was confused and Runa began to explain further. Oren understood that his abilities would be far inferior to other enchanters. That's why he strove to keep up and developed a series of original spells to compensate for that. Oliver countered that Oren's spell still was not good as the other enchanters. Runa denied that Oren had also developed another magic. He used a unique magic that could increase the effects by more than 50 times. Oliver was shocked to hear that Oren was capable of amplifying 50 times. But Philly denied that, as even Selma, the world's best enchanter, was only able to amplify it for only 10 times. Even though it was hard to believe, Runa vowed for Oren's support magic, which could increase their abilities more than 50 times in combat. Runa believed that their group was successful due to that skill. Oliver wondered whether Runa was saying that his skill, Celestial Cut, was useless due to the absence of Oren's magic. Runa revealed that Oliver and Annalie's success lay in Oren's unique skill. Oliver would always take advantage of Oren's support magic, so the time to channel the magic energy to the sword was shortened. She believed that Oliver could have cut the black dragon wings if he charged for more time, but Oren's skill speed up that process by 50 times. But Oliver still refused to believe Runa's explanation and wanted it to be a lie. Runa then berated Annalie for mistaking Oren's support magic as her own power. Oren had tried to warn her about it numerous times, but Annalie refused to believe him. Since Oren's skill speeds up their activation, Annalie could cast the advanced spells quickly, which need a large casting time. Runa berated Annalie for not using mana efficiently in advanced spells. That's also the reason why she had been using only middle-tier spells recently. Annalie wondered why they didn't tell her about it. Runa explained that it was because they were already on lower floors that time. That's why they wouldn't have a leeway to let her train in that dangerous situation. Oren always tried to take Annalie to the middle floors to train her, but she always refused it as troublesome. Annalie didn't have anything to counter that. Derek wondered whether his defense was also enhanced. Runa confirmed that, but it only lasted for a moment. But in that instant, Derek would gain tremendous power. She also revealed that Oren deployed unique magic on their equipment, which made their hunting easier. Oren's support magic reduced the weight and increased the efficiency of every equipment. Everyone was shocked to hear that. Runa clarified that was why she was against the expulsion of Oren. Oliver understood Runa's opinion, but he also knew that it was too late for that now. The heroes' party successfully managed to reach the surface. The other explorers who were at the entrance of the dungeon also noticed them. They were amazed at the heroes' party efficiency, as they believed that they had already cleared it. They praised heroes' party and believed that they would surpass the 94th floor soon. They also exclaimed that they were called as a heroes' party for a reason. They also believed that S-rank groups were on another level and they could have defeated the lower-level monster easily. On the other hand, everyone was embarrassed to hear the compliments, as they just made a terrible mistake. Oliver cursed himself in that situation. They had endangered all the explorers in the dungeon. They weren't even able to do anything against the black dragon they had defeated in the past. He believed that he didn't deserve to be called a hero. Oliver decided to solve that problem first as soon as possible. He also realized the problems caused by the absence of Oren in the heroes' party. Few hours earlier, Oren entered the Great Southern Dungeon. But he strangely had a bad feeling about their last day explorations of the Silver Rabbit Guild. Oren had entered the dungeon for the last exploration day. This time they had started from the 36th floor, which they had completed the previous day. Their goal was to capture floors 36 to 50. After reaching level 51, they would use the transfer crystal to return home, and Oren's job would be over at that point. Just like before, the leader would take care of the demonic beasts that couldn't be defeated by the rookies, and the battles against the bosses would involve the whole team. But strangely, Oren felt a bad vibe in the Great Dungeon. Oren noticed Logan's face, which had shown admiration unlike the previous day. He wondered whether Oren was feeling uncomfortable because of that. In the end, he decided to dismiss those feelings and approached Caroline. He wanted to give a little advice for her future. Since Caroline always ran into the monsters yesterday, Oren wanted her to play defensively a little more. He wanted Caroline to be a little more aware of the surroundings and asked her to move carefully. Oren wanted her to get the monsters' attention so that she could help her teammates. Caroline felt that would cause trouble for everyone. She wanted to take the job and fight on the front line for that reason. She didn't want to hear Oren's advice and pushed all thoughts of cooperation aside for the time being. She was adamant to be at the forefront of the fight. Oren explained that there is a limit to what they could do individually, so it was better to be aware of how to perform with her teammates. Oren heard that Caroline admired Albert, the ace of the Silver Rabbit Guild. Albert Sensible had lost his life last year in the battle against the Black Dragon, the floor boss of the 92nd floor. His absence reduced the strength of the Silver Rabbit considerably. In the conquest of the Great Dungeon, Albert was one step away from reaching the level of Hero's Party. Black Dragon is an opponent that even the Hero's Party had difficulty against. In the worst-case scenario, there could be many casualties in that battle. But Albert died protecting his comrades and saved the life of many members. After he died, many members in the guild had lost their smiles. Caroline wanted to become an explorer so she could save the smiles of the people. So Caroline felt that she wanted to fight at the front line alone, so no one else would be in danger. She also didn't have to shield someone and lose her life like Albert. It seemed that Oren explaining Albert's story backfired on him. He wasn't able to do anything about it, so he just asked her to do her best as usual. Caroline smiled and moved ahead of the party. Seeing her like that, Oren wasn't able to say anything to her. After Caroline left, Sophia approached Oren and mentioned that she wanted to ask him something. She wanted to know what she was lacking so that she could become stronger. Seeing her motivation, Oren planned to answer her questions with a reasonable explanation. He didn't want to damp her motivation. First, Oren wanted to know Sophia's understanding of magic, so he inquired about it. Sophia explained that magic skills are the processing of magical power into various phenomena. But magic is something that only monsters could use. On the other hand, humans learn to manipulate magical power into a phenomenon using the formula. Oren was amazed by Sophia's understanding of magic. In the end, the formula is just the procedure used to cause various phenomena. In other words, magic and magic skills used by monsters and humans were the same. Monsters would use it naturally and humans would use it using the magic formula. He then asked her about the procedures to activate the magic. Sophia answered that it is divided into two stages: magic formula construction and magic power flow. The basic formula construction is the creation of a formula by creating additional adjustments such as power and range of effect to the original basic formula. Next, magic power flow is the flow of magical power from the air into the completed formula. Oren was shocked as he never expected a rookie to answer so many questions. He complimented Sophia for her understanding in magic. He then decided to teach her the skills she needed to take her abilities to the next level. As they progressed, they entered the 40th floor of the dungeon. Oren decided to teach Sophia about parallel construction. It is the art of building two or more formulas at the same time. It is no exaggeration to say that advanced magicians need this skill. Sophia felt that it was difficult to use two or more magics at the same time. Her friend, Logan, was able to use two magic at the same time. Oren revealed that some people could build dozens of formulas at the same time. Sophia was shocked to hear that. But she wondered why parallel construction was important, as she thought that a single powerful advanced magic would be used in place of it. There are 4 levels of offensive magic: beginner, intermediate, advanced and special. Oren explained that there were many demonic beasts that could not be defeated in one hit even with special magic. Even if Sophia fired in rapid succession, it takes time to activate it. During that time, the mage is inevitably rendered powerless. That's where parallel techniques would come in handy. At the moment, when one magic formula is half complete, another magic would begin at the same time. That way, Sophia could effectively activate the magic. Sophia also agreed with that opinion, as it was best to do something in less time. Oren reminded her that the demonic beasts of the lower layers were that strong and it's not easy to win by simply firing high-powered magic in rapid succession. He reminded her to choose intermediate magic with a small attack scale, and she could also use a tactic to fight in cooperation with her allies. Oren explained that all magic would be useful depending on how she uses it. Sophia thanked Oren as she learned a lot. She decided to learn parallel casting first. Since Sophia already had the ability to fight in the middle levels of the dungeon, Oren asked her to learn from the veterans of the Silver Rabbit Guild. Oren knew that Selma would be more than happy to teach her. Even though Sophia understood Oren's explanation, she wanted to learn from Oren instead of her sister. Oren was shocked to hear an unexpected response. Sophia wondered whether it would be problematic for him if she wanted him to teach her. She asked Oren with puppy eyes, and Oren became embarrassed. He agreed to do it if Selma gave her permission. No one would want a stranger to train them, but Sophia was glad to hear that. Since Selma always had a soft spot for her, Sophia believed that Selma would give her permission. But Oren wondered whether Selma really had the same opinion. Selma also coughed at that time as they spoke about it. A few minutes later, they managed to enter the boss area. The 40th floor boss had a human barbarian appearance with 4 arms. All the guide leaders gathered there. Selma conducted a meeting there, since it was the first time they were going to fight as a group. Oren then went to meet the other 2 front-line fighters. He assured them that they would be able to finish the fight within a few minutes. But Anselm and Bernard wondered whether it would be possible to finish the boss in a few minutes. Oren asked the 10th squad to stay at the same place and hide from the boss monster. Sophia agreed to it in place of the whole group. She was excited to see the fight of all the guide leaders. She was amazed to see that they were so powerful, which is totally different from their fighting style. The 2 defenders Anselm and Bernard attacked while drawing the giant's attention. Oren attacked the boss's blind spots. While the 2 defenders attacked the lower part of the giant, Selma and Kathy attacked the upper body with magic. Even though it was the first time they worked together, they wasted no time. They executed their role perfectly, and Sophia was amazed to see the group of advanced explorers fighting. But she was disappointed to see the fight ending so fast. Nevertheless, she wanted to be like them. She wanted to become a veteran explorer like Oren and others. The 10th squad complimented Oren for his work against the boss monster. At the same time, Anselm and Bernard had a meeting. Anselm couldn't believe that they could defeat the boss in a few minutes. Both of them didn't expect that what Oren said would come true. Oren's skills were barely at rank A, and he also didn't deal much damage to the boss monster, but they managed to defeat it smoothly. This time, the Titan boss didn't launch any major attacks. They were able to defeat it without any problems. Even though Oren said that it was the first time after several years, fighting as a swordsman, Oren was able to fight without any flaws in their group. Anselm wondered why the Titan remained docile all the time. It was so unnatural, as if someone was controlling it. Bernard was shocked to hear that. He inquired whether Oren was blocking the giant's movements. But Anselm thought that there was a chance for it. He watched Oren's movements throughout the fight. Just before the giant made its big attack, Oren read its moves and attacked at the vital point of his attack, and then he was able to block the attacker's movement. Every creature has a pre-move because there is such a thing as a preliminary action. Bernard wondered whether it was even possible for Oren to attack that precisely, when he had not been a swordsman for several years. That kind of attack would take a lot of concentration, so Bernard wondered whether it was possible to maintain that state while collaborating with friends. Anselm also wouldn't believe it usually. But he recalled the conversation they had with Oren yesterday. Oren wanted to become a swordsman who could conquer the deepest levels of the dungeon by himself. It seemed that Oren was seriously pursuing that ideal. Anselm felt that Oren was the sort of the person who would stop at nothing to achieve his dream. Bernard also agreed with Anselm that Oren had to have that kind of concentration and skill to achieve his dream. They praised Oren's abilities, and Anselm felt that Oren would give them another surprise at the 50th level boss battle. They started to travel again and encountered the 50th level boss. If they could defeat that thing, their mission would be completed. Selma asked to attack so that they could finish it quickly. Oren charged ahead and aimed to cut the left pincher of the crab monster, so he asked Selma to cover him. Bernard wondered whether Oren would be fine as he charged alone. But Oren leaped high without minding that advice. He casted his original magic, instantaneous skill boost. He managed to successfully cut the left pincher and shocked everyone. His original magic instantaneous boost would increase the performance and durability of magic, and the user's magic power would increase by 100 times. He found the magic luckily in his research, but he used it to survive in the depths of the dungeon. Since he had already managed to cut the pincher, all that's left for him is to crack the shell. Selma also praised Oren for that and ordered everyone to attack. They continued their attack after that and managed to defeat the boss within 5 minutes. They had successfully conquered level 50. Oren's mission was almost completed. All of them gathered so that they could return to the surface. Oren noticed that the atmosphere in the party was so good. Oren felt that everything would end without any incident. Sophia also noticed Oren and waved hand. Oren also waved at her back, but he was soon shocked by the dust created in the back of Sophia. The dust soon cleared and Black Dragon appeared there. The door which the Black Dragon used reopened on the 50th floor. It seemed that Oren's fear had come true in the worst possible way. It was a scene of pure joy for the dungeon exploration team, as they had just subjugated the 50th floor's boss. However, right before their eyes, the space around the boss area distorted, and a fearsome entity made its appearance. That jet black huge was something that the hero's party had not only failed to subjugate, but even let escape an existence that normally should have never appeared on that floor. The tyrant that trampled all explorers one-sidedly on the deepest floor, the Black Dragon. Everyone was frozen in their tracks, including the guide leaders and Selma. They were unable to move due to the tremendous pressure of the dragon. Selma wondered whether it was a real Black Dragon, as it made no sense for the 92nd floor boss to appear at the 50th floor. The Black Dragon prepared its breath attack, and gathered a huge fireball in front of its mouth. Selma knew what it meant and tried to give out the orders. But she was shocked to find that she wasn't able to move. Her whole body was paralyzed. She noticed that everyone was paralyzed as well due to fear. If they stayed like that, they would certainly die. That's when Oren shouted at Selma and the leaders, which released them out of fear. He asked them to protect the rookies with their life. Oren was the only one who wasn't paralyzed, as he had numerous experiences through countless battles. Selma also agreed to Oren and managed to get a hold herself. She ordered Kathy to make a barrier in front of the defenders. Anselm and Bernard moved to the front line. After Kathy casted the barrier, they moved to the position to reinforce the barrier. They counted on them to defend against the Black Dragon's attack. Selma hoped that they would somehow endure it. Even after they got buffed with magic and managed to pull a solid defense position. When they saw the massive ball of fire in front of them, they felt death right that instant. Oren casted his original magic, ability increases just in time. The barrier efficiency increased by more than 50 times, and it started to glow, which shocked Kathy. But Oren knew that it would only work for an instant. The defenders braced themselves for the impact and Oren was ready to cast it multiple times if it was needed. The fireball made the impact, which caused a huge explosion. As the smoke cleared, everyone was fine, but the barrier was destroyed. They were shocked to find that all of them were safe. They just used an ant to defend against an elephant due to Oren's skill. Oren was glad that everyone was alive. But he still wondered why the Black Dragon was there. He also knew that there shouldn't be enough space between the floors for such a large magic beast to move around. Then he was shocked after noticing the surroundings. The 50th floor grew wider in space after the attack of the Black Dragon. It was an irregularity after an irregularity. Even though Oren didn't know why it had happened, he had to think of a way to get everyone back safely. Since they had already defeated the 50th floor boss, the passage to the 51st floor was now open. Meaning, they were close to the transfer crystal. Oren knew that they would be able to escape if they could move faster. But all the other members' movements became sluggish due to pressure generated by the Black Dragon. Oren knew that they wouldn't be able to make it. He was the only one who could move normally in that situation. He even had a thought to escape by himself. Since magic beasts have a tendency to go after big groups, he was sure that the Black Dragon would attack the rookies. Going by his assumptions, he would be able to escape from there safely. But he wasn't that type of person. Since he was the main character, he prepared to fight the Black Dragon, as it was the only way to save everyone. Right now, Oren's role is to bring those kids, who just became explorers, to the 51st floor safely. He didn't want to do something like betraying everyone. He was determined to protect everyone there. Since there were too many who couldn't move due to fear, he had to discard the option of trying to buy time. So he drew 2 of his swords and amplified it with his original magic. He had no choice but to fight and win, if he wanted to save everyone. Selma was surprised to see Oren charging at the black dragon all alone.
Oren readied his sword and threw it towards the black dragon. He aimed it towards its eyes. But the black dragon just closed its eyes, and its eyelids were strong enough to repel the sword attack. Anselm and Bernard were shocked to see that absurdity, as everyone knew that a dragon could dodge such a straightforward attack. But sooner they realized that a rune was going to hit at the moment the black dragon closed its eyes. He jumped high and attacked the dragon using his momentary increase in skill boost. It created a huge impact, and the whole floor was once again covered in smoke. Oren gritted his teeth and attacked it to the end. Afterwards, he landed on the ground. Selma wondered whether Oren had managed to defeat the black dragon. The smoke cleared and the black dragon emerged without any injuries. It was still healthy and roared. Oren knew they couldn't beat him like that. At that time, the jewel Oren wore shined. Selma inquired whether he was okay, and Oren replied he was fine. He asked Selma and other leaders to do everything in their power to protect the rookies. Oren wanted to take care of the black dragon alone. He asked them to not worry, as there is a chance to win. He assured he would protect the rookies and charged ahead. Sophia asked him to take care of himself at that short moment. As Oren prepared to attack first, he had to draw the black dragon's attention from everyone. He used various spells and attacked the dragon. The dragon began to consider Oren as a threat, and he successfully changed its attention on him. The dragon charged its fireball to attack Oren, but unknowns to it, Oren was already expecting it. He knew that Black Dragon's fireball won't work on him, as it was just a simple attack. He casted Reflective Barrier, which was his original magic. He reflected that attack back on the dragon. It also managed to land on it. The rookies were shocked and wondered what kind of magic was that. It was Oren's original magic, which has the effects of repelling and reflecting any attack spells. No other barrier had the same kind of effects. He wondered what it would taste like for the black dragon to receive its own attack back. When the smoke cleared, it once again roared. Selma was surprised to see the dragon unharmed again after that as well. Oren managed to make a decision at that point. He began to use his skills on himself as he prepared to take on that black dragon. He casted multiple magic circles around himself. It was his All Skills Increase spell, which would boost his stats to its limit. The 6 basic types of support magic are Power Increase, Life Force Increase, Magic Power Increase, Endurance Increase, and Technical Power Increase. They are built in parallel and activated simultaneously. Its difficulty is high, just like Philly activated against Oliver in the previous battle. It can only be used by high-level enchantment mages. Selma also noticed Oren. But Oren's magic increase is only double his power, and it's weak. She wondered whether to provide support to him just when the buff disappears. Suddenly, Oren whispered, "All skills increase, overlap." Selma was totally taken back as Oren activated his support magic once again. The effects then increased to triple, which shocked everyone. But it didn't stop there and went quadrupled. And at last, his skill, All Skills Increase, managed to multiply his stats quintuple times. Selma felt that was ridiculous. She never even heard of multiplying to increase all skills, and she had never heard of multiplying by 5 times. She was scared of Oren's support magic. She wondered how much combat power Oren has now, and she couldn't even guess. After increasing his overall skills, Oren moved towards the black dragon. The black dragon, which watched the show in silence, also began to move. It once again roared and used its tail to attack the approaching Oren. Oren noticed that and disappeared from that place just when the tail was right before him. Even its tail is enough to destroy the floor's ground. Everyone was shocked, as they thought Oren was hit by that attack. That's when one of the rookies noted that Oren was hanging on the cliff. Everyone was shocked, as they weren't even able to notice his movements. He moved to that place in the blink of an eye, at an amazing speed. Selma knew it's not enough to say that Oren's just improved his physical abilities. She wondered what the heck was that magic Oren mentioned before. Support magic is originally impossible to accumulate. Casting the same support magic in succession would only reset the time of the effect. However, Oren's original magic overlay literally allows one to accumulate support magic. It's a technique established by a cheater using a magic bug. Quintuple is a state in which overlap can be activated, since the value of Auron's support magic was doubled by overlap, and the effect of the buff is multiplied by 5 with quintuplication. Now, Auron is at a different level of power. However, this magic has 2 disadvantages. First, this magic has no effect on anyone other than Auron, and secondly, it can only be used in short-term battles. This is because it takes a toll on humans' body. Auron began to bleed nose due to the pressure. It involves parallel construction of up to 30 techniques. The burden on the one who uses it is too high. So, Auron had decided to end the fight quickly. The story shifted to Auron's childhood. He didn't remember what had exactly happened, but when Auron and Oliver returned after the training to the town, it was filled with numerous dead bodies. Both of them filled with despair for the first time in their life. It seemed like a group of bandits had raided town and killed everyone in sight. Both of them cried as their homeland had fallen that day. Even though they were a child, they buried the dead bodies of the people by themselves and paid their respect to the dead. On that day, Oliver decided to become stronger. He didn't let anyone take anything from him again. Auron also felt the same and wanted to become stronger. Even if he was being unreasonable, he also didn't want to lose anything. He vowed that day, no matter the circumstances, he will be strong enough to protect what is important to him. That time, the world was being unreasonable towards him, and he became an explorer to find power and knowledge. Unlike that time, he wanted to protect everyone, and he went beyond his limitations. He reminded himself that the situation is not complicated, and he just had to defeat the enemy in front of him. Seeing Auron charging like that, Selma was shocked to see him really trying to defeat the Black Dragon. She knew that the supposedly impossible increase all skills. With overlap, it must be hard just to build the formula. All she could do was protect the rookies there so Auron could concentrate. But still, there was considerable burden on Auron. Once again, Auron approached the Black Dragon. As he moved near it, he noticed the dragon tail moving slightly, which indicated that it was going to use its tail once again. Auron dodged it by jumping. His jump was several meters higher as he had his stats all increased. The Black Dragon targets him in midair. Selma was also worried for Auron as he was unprotected at that time. Auron also complimented that it was a nice move, but he was better and one step ahead of it. He created a foothold with his magic. Selma was once again shocked by Auron's magic. With the foothold, he successfully dodged the dragon's attack. Even though he talked a lot about his superiority, he sighed as it had successfully worked. Other than Selma, it shocked everyone as they never had seen this kind of magic. This is what Auron's unique ability convergence of magical forces is all about. It is a power that only Oliver and Auron can use to gather magic and materialize it. Oliver used it as a method of attack. It has a wide range of uses and is inherently a very, very super ability. Auron jumped from that foothold. If one could unleash its magical power, it can be used to propel him. It can also be used for aerial movement, just like Auron uses. As Auron leaped forward, he used increased sharpness and increased durability to reinforce his sword. He then used his special skill Instant Skill Increase and slashed the neck of the Black Dragon. But it did nothing and only left a few scratches on it. Still, it stinged for the Black Dragon and it roared. The 10 squad was amazed at that scene. As everyone was rejoicing, Auron landed on the floor. His breathing was uneven as he was affected by the buff he casted on himself. Selma also noticed Auron's expression and worried. The dragon was quite irritated with Scar, and it flaps its wings for the next attack. Soon a purple mist covered the whole place, and Auron knew about that attack. The next second, a huge explosion occurred at the place he was at. Everyone was surprised at that attack, as the dragon just waved its wings slightly. As the smoke cleared, Auron was not hurt. Sophia was relieved to see Auron managing to dodge that. When all the smoke cleared, a large dark spear made of magic had struck the floor surface. The dragon shape shifted the mist and turned it into a weapon. Sophia had never thought the Black Dragon had that type of attack. That mist is probably a result of convergence of forces. It's magic that harnesses magic from its surroundings. The Black Dragon's main attack is a quick strike with a fireball, or its tail. But those are not the only attacks it can do. The real threat is that purple mist. That mist sometimes changes shape like a whip, sometimes like a sphere, allowing attacks in all directions. When they shut it down before, number of attacks was not like that. That's when Auron knew that the Black Dragon was not fighting seriously. Auron wanted the dragon to take seriously. He soon casted Fireball and attacked the Black Dragon with it. As soon as the fireball exploded and covered its sight, he leaped forward and aimed at its neck once again. He boosted his stats and attacked it. But his sword got repelled. The whole body of the Black Dragon was really hard. As Auron landed, the dragon used its tail and attacked him. At the same time, Auron avoided the mist, and the dragon suddenly increased its attack speed. Auron knew he couldn't dodge that attack. He created a mud wall and blocked that attack. He jumped backwards just to be safe and maintained some distance between them. But the mud wall didn't work on it. The dragon's tail shattered it like a piece of paper and made its way near him. Auron casted Reflective Barrier and reflected that attack. He was glad to learn the original technique just in case to repel attacks. But the dragon attacked Auron with its tail multiple times, and Auron stopped it all with his barrier. The rookies were bewildered at the terrible battle that was unfolding. Sophia was also worried for Auron, genuinely. Even though Auron dodged the Black Dragon's attacks, he had not made a single decisive move, which worried Selma. At that time, Auron thought about his fight with the Black Dragon with the Heroes group. Derek and Luna took care of the mist. Oliver and Anari took care of their firepower. It was Oliver and Anari's firepower that killed it. He wondered if he could do what they had done. But at that time and place, he was the only one who could stop the Black Dragon. He reminded himself of his vow of not letting himself be defeated by his limitations. He didn't want to trust his false friends and wanted to believe in himself so that he could beat the Black Dragon. He once again casted Buff as it had run out. The dragon's attacks are impossible to defend against, so he decided to dodge it all. He reflected all of his attack and pushed it away from attacking the rookies. Caroline noticed that Auron had changed his movements as an evasive defender. Auron was amazed, as he never thought that it was possible to do something like that against the Black Dragon. Even if Derek isn't there, he can evade the attack on his own. If he didn't get hit by his opponents, he didn't need the healer role that Luna used to play. Then there are the physical attacks like Oliver's, or an attacker who can use magic attacks like Anari. He wanted to try everyone's roles at the hero's party by himself. He escaped from the purple mist and attacked with numerous slashes at the Black Dragon, but none of it worked. Then he charged his weapon for a big attack as he wanted to bring the Black Dragon's attention to him. At the same time, he also activated numerous spells around the Black Dragon. The whole time, he was jumping around to set spells around the air. He knew that even the Black had never seen that many spells at once. It would also never be hit by so many spells at once. He activated all the spells and attacked it. Even though he used numerous attacks, it didn't do much damage to the Black Dragon. Auron also knew that, so he prepared another move. Soon the magic circles absorbed the mana around it and attacked with much greater force. Auron called that magic amplification chain. Auron smiled as he was sure that he could get its attention with that attack. Now he could fight the dragon without worrying about the rookie's safety. As the spells amplified, Selma was surprised as she had never seen magic attacks being enhanced. Amplification chain. When magic attacks go through the palace where the spell is set, it absorbs surrounding magic power and triggers the same offensive magic with amplified power. This is Auron's original magic that he also uses in combination with magic convergence. He used it to overcome Anari's offensive magic role in combat. He then decided to perform Oliver's role in the party. He used magic convergence. This magic changed the color of the sword, and a tremendous magic power covered it. Unlike Oliver's golden sword, this one is jet black. He used the same skill Oliver used, Heavenly Slash, and cut through the dragon. It once again caused a huge explosion and covered the floor. The 10th Squad and Selma were amazed at Auron's performance. He had been performing every role of all the members of the hero group on his own while bleeding, but this time, Auron aimed for the wings of the dragon. He was relieved after feeling that he had severed something. At the moment the Heavenly Flash collided, Auron also applied instantaneous ability increase. Auron was sure the wings should have been destroyed, which must have greatly reduced the dragon's mobility. As the smoke cleared, Oren was shocked to see its wings still intact. The dragon roared with great fury. Oren was shocked as he clearly felt that he cut through something. Then he noticed the severed tail of the dragon. The dragon used its tail to protect its wings. Oren was surprised as he knew it was the first time this black dragon had seen the heavenly flash, so he wondered how the dragon noticed his target. Now Oren had to think more about his next move. Unknown to Oren, the black dragon had been hit by Oliver's heavenly flash before appearing on this level. After learning about the power of the heavenly flash and the intention with which it was fired, the black dragon protected its own lifeline, its wings with its tail. With its wings, it could retreat at any time if it felt endangered. The dragon once again flapped its wings with much faster speed. This time, the purple mist was generated in more amounts than before. Oren realized the real fight only starts from then on. Oren once again used magic convergence and flew through the sky. At that time, he realized that his body was tearing up inside. He didn't have too much time. The support magic would soon disappear. Selma noticed Oren's state and called out to him. She casted Status Increase Multiply on him to help. But magic convergence would interrupt all the other types of support magic. Selma was shocked to find that she can't activate the magic. Oren told her that he didn't need support magic. He didn't want her to pay attention to him. Instead, he asked her to protect herself from then on. Hearing that, Selma wondered whether Oren was saying that it is enough with just his ability to defeat the black dragon. She left the black dragon to him alone and left all of their fates in his hands. Oren once again stacked the buff on him, and all skills increased at quintuple. He created numerous footholds and charged towards it. He managed to reach the wings and tried to attack it, but the dragon knew what he was targeting and dodged it swiftly. The dragon had a massive advantage in air battle, and it was a hassle for him. If he doesn't take the fight to the ground, he can't win. He had only one option now. He soon activated the spells he had set on the path and casted Amplification Chain on top of it. But that attack had both the time and direction fixed, so it is difficult to hit a black dragon in the air. But he had a great idea to turn the situation around. As the dragon approached him, he casted the reflective barrier and forcefully changed the direction of the attack towards the dragon. The attack soon landed on the dragon, and Oren casted lightning on top of it. The dragon was greatly injured by that. Oren's head started to hurt as he had used too much magic. But he can't worry about it now. He used an amplification chain on the lightning magic and amplified the attack. Soon, hundreds of lightning landed on the dragon and it screamed in pain. Sophia was amazed at the fight unfolding before her. Oren's attack stopped the black dragon from moving. It was his chance, and he used magic convergence once again and leaped towards it. He used a heavenly flash once again at the black dragon. But it had also noticed Oren's attack. But Oren couldn't stop now, as it was his last attack and his body was also tearing apart now. He casted Super Momentary Skill Boost and betted on it. As usual, the attack caused a huge explosion that was bigger than before. The whole floor felt the pressure. They soon heard a huge crashing sound. Caroline and Logan believed that was the sound of the dragon falling. But Selma was still wary of the fight and concerned about Oren. Soon the smoke cleared and the black dragon was lying there with numerous injuries on its body and unable to move. Oren used his skill and beheaded the black dragon in front of everyone.
This story occurred shortly before Arun confronted the black dragon. The heroes' party entered the Explorers Guild to inform them of the emergency situation. Luna shouted at the lobby of the guild to call for the deputy guild leader. She asked them to hurry up as there was no time. She introduced their team as the Golden Dawn instead of Heroes. Even though they were now more often called the Team of Heroes, the official name of their team is the Golden Dawn. 9 years ago, Orun, Oliver, and Luna decided on that name. Then Luna was called by someone. She is an employee of the Explorers Guild named Eleonora. She asked the others to wait in the conference room as the other staff members are calling the guild leader. Soon, Eleonora guided them to the conference room, and all the important officials of the Explorers Guild arrived there. Luna first apologized to them for interrupting their important schedule. Then she explained to the guild leader, Leon Conti, and the other executives that the Golden Dawn had come there to ask them all for a favor. She then revealed they needed all the explorers of the Great Labyrinth return through deportation. The executives were shocked by that, and the guild leader, Leon wondered what problem they had caused. The negotiations should have been handled by Oliver, as he is their leader. But he had been quiet for the last few hours, and he was completely useless. So far, Luna would always let Oren handle this sort of thing. But now, out of all the team members of the guild, she was the only one capable of negotiating. Deportation is a magic spell that involves many people, so Leon inquired their reason for using that. Even though the situation is dire, as a guild leader, he wanted to hear an explanation. Luna decided to make it brief due to limited time. She revealed there is an extremely high possibility that the Black Dragon, the floor boss of the 92nd floor, has moved to the upper, middle, or lower boss area. Leon was shocked to hear that. While they were there, if other explorers met the Black Dragon, they would die before they even had a chance to defend themselves. So after deporting the explorers, Luna promised they would take care of the Black Dragon. They need to deport all the explorers to save others in the meantime. All members of the heroes' party bowed to the guild leader, Leon. He then decided to approve the use of it, since it was an emergency situation. But he needed them to explain it more in detail later. Soon Leon asked the approval of executives to activate the deportation spell. The truth of this information is uncertain to everyone in the guild, and Luna doesn't know to what extent they will believe her. But they had no choice other than that. Luna also prepared herself to face some trouble for their mistakes. In the end, there was no one in the guild to oppose their requests. So Leon authorized them to use the deportation spell of the Great Labyrinth. Luna thanked them for their help, even with little information. Luna then made another request regarding deportation. She wanted people from levels 45 to 50 to move to the square near the Great Maze. Former Golden Dawn member Orun seems to be scouting the area, and Luna liked him to join them to defeat the Black Dragon. Leon agreed to that request, and they all proceeded with the deportation spell. All of the executives of the guild injected their magical power in front of the magic circle created by the guild leader. Luna wanted to fight along with Orun once again with his support. She expected others to acknowledge the importance of Orun, and she wanted them to go back to the way they were before. Soon inside the Great Labyrinth, the magic deportations activated, and the adventurers who were battling the monster were engulfed by it. They soon disappeared from that place. The deportation spell is complete. Leon ordered the Golden Dawn to kill the Black Dragon to rectify their mistakes. The guild were going to stay to avoid confusion among the explorers due to sudden deportation of them from the labyrinth. Soon the heroes' party exited the conference room, and Luna decided to regroup with Orun first, but she was stopped by Derek. He still didn't think they needed the help of weakling Orun. Even though they were talking about Orun's skill in magic, he still doubted whether Luna explained was actually true, so he still thinks that they didn't need Orun. Luna can't understand the mindset of those idiots. Another idiot, Annalie, believed they lost because the Black Dragon took them by surprise. Both of those idiots believed they would be able to handle it if they had known about its attacks from the start. Luna still couldn't believe those idiots were still complaining like that. They were too blind to the reality of the situation. She decided to explain to them very clearly this time that they are the weakest among the S-ranked teams. So such a team can't beat the Black Dragon when even other S-ranked teams can't. The face of others soon turned sour upon hearing that. Derek refused to be treated as the weakest as they were the renowned team of heroes. Luna once again said that they were able to achieve that fame because of Orun, especially Derek and Annalie. Without Orun's support, both of them would only be a ranks, so she asked them to know their place. Derek argued back that Luna was not in a position to estimate their strength when she is a healer, but Luna clarified that she could win if both of them fought now. The idiot Derek got mad and attacked her with confidence. Luna sighed at her helplessness. She never thought Derek would be so stupid. She called a spirit named Pixie, and it blocked Derek's attack quite easily. It had also managed to pinpoint Derek in one place, and he couldn't move from there. Then, Luna decided to cast an attack spell to attack him, but Oliver stopped her in time. Oliver agreed to find Orun first, just like Luna wanted. The leader of the Golden Dawn finally talked, but Luna knew it was too late. The leader really misses timing in everything. A few minutes later, the heroes' party reached the entrance of the Great South Maze Labyrinth. They saw a large crowd gathered around the place there. Luna noticed the Black Dragon body among the crowd, and she could recognize it. Oliver thought the Black Dragon managed to escape outside and drew his sword. But Luna calmed him down. Since there were too many people around, she proposed to approach the Black Dragon without letting the guard down. One of the onlookers noticed the arrival of the heroes' party and asked everyone to make a way for them. The crowd was confused about what happened. They had been exploring the labyrinth and they got suddenly teleported. Now the black dragon corpse was in front of them. The hero's party moved forward among the crowd. They soon saw the black dragon dead with numerous wounds on its body. Clearly, the hero's party never expected this outcome and was shocked. Soon, a loud noise made her come to her senses. Auron was standing in the center of the crowd with the support of his sword. Luna called out to him happily, but when Auron turned, he was filled with numerous injuries. Unlike others, Auron was happy to see Luna there. Soon the sword turned to dust due to overload. Auron approached Luna from there. Luna wondered whether the Silver Rabbit Guild had managed to defeat the Black Dragon with a run. But that doesn't seem to be the case since Auron was the only one wounded out of all. Soon, Auron managed to reach Luna in his tired state. He asked her to take care of the processing of the dragon's body and moved forward. Luna was totally shocked by that. If the Black Dragon was killed by Auron and the Silver Rabbit Guild, they won't let the rival guild, Hero's Party, take care of processing the valuable dragon's corpse. There was only one ridiculous possibility. Auron killed the Black Dragon alone. Soon her guess turned out to be true as the 10th squad chased after Auron. They wondered if it was all right to let the Black Dragon corpse like that, and inquired whether Auron was all right. The Black Dragon that even the whole Hero's Party couldn't compete with was killed by Auron alone. The whole Hero's Party was silent when Auron approached. Auron soon met Oliver, his childhood friend and family, but Oliver frowned when Auron approached. He deemed Auron as worthless, but he showed his worth to the whole world. Later that night, Sophia decided to write a report about her experiences in that dungeon expedition. She felt Auron was too much for her. Auron directed each of them individually. He also taught Sophia the art of sorcery. Above all of that, he single-handedly defeated the Black Dragon. Sophia was once again saved by Auron. While no one could move, Auron fought to protect them. Sophia thought Auron's expression, at that time, was really cool. Even though Auron always had a kind face, his new change also attracted her. While she was thinking about Auron's achievements, Selma called out to her. She also returned home after reporting everything to the clan leader, Vince. But she was too tired by the whole incident that took place. Sophia also noted how Selma's face looked terrible. It's been a long time since Sophia had seen his sister tired. Selma also went ahead and slept in her bed. Sophia asked her to be mindful of her clothes, which might wrinkle. She asked Selma to get at least a shower before going to bed. Seeing there was no reaction, Sophia then proposed to take a bath together. The sister lover Selma agreed without a second thought. So they both went to sauna inside their guild. Selma had to agree that it was relaxing for the mind and body after having a tired day. She thanked Sophia for that, and Sophia was glad to see his sister in a better shape. Then Sophia wondered what bothered Selma so much. Sophia noticed how Selma looked strangely afore. Hearing that, Selma asked her thoughts about Auron and the Black Dragon fight. Sophia felt Auron was very strong, but that was the only way of seeing that fight. It was too much of an exaggeration, but on the other hand, the rookies didn't get how Auron's fight was out of the norm. But Sophia felt that it was only normal for others to feel like that. Selma was shocked to hear that. Sophia just implied that she had learned something from that fight, so she inquired about Sophia's finding. Sophia was taken back to see her like that, so she asked Selma to calm down. Sophia then explained that Auron's movements were completely inhuman, and he even used magic she had never seen before. Other than that, Sophia also thinks that it was a basic fight. Auron was doing basic attacker and defender fighting on the backline. At a lecture for rookies, they were taught the basic behavior of each role. Auron's tactics were the same as they had been taught. Selma was surprised to hear that. In the end, Auron's battle was very informative for them. Sophia also wished to become a strong and cool adventurer like Auron. Selma was surprised to hear that. She only saw the otherworldly strength of Auron in that battle. It seemed to Selma that Auron was in a realm far beyond her comprehension. But Sophia was different. She interrupted what she saw in her own way based on her own knowledge. Sophia was improving her abilities, and Selma wanted to thank Auron for guiding her. Selma knew Auron was looking at her from a different world. Still, she didn't want to give up. She hoped to one day be an adventurer who could measure up to him, but she wondered if such a day would ever come. She left her parents' house almost as if she had run away from home, so she had no choice but to succeed as an adventurer. Selma's goal is still far away after seeing Auron's fight. Seeing Selma contemplating, Sophia hugged her, which surprised Selma. Sophia revealed she admires her sister more. She wanted Selma to walk on her own path and do a lot of things. Sophia had given up on her life because she thought there was no choice but to do what their parents wanted them to do. But Selma showed her another way. Sophia thanked Selma for always looking out for her and for being on her side. She wanted Selma to rely on her for anything. The sister lover, Selma, was moved by that so much. Soon, Sophia got up to leave the bath, but Selma stopped her. Selma wanted to sleep along with Sophia after a long time. She asked Sophia with puppy eyes, to which he agreed. The next day, Arun experienced so much pain. It was the worst dream of his life. It was the mitigating pain he had to experience after overusing his skill. His muscles were sore from yesterday's battle. It's fortunate that he didn't suffer lasting effects from using such poor magic, which could also be a magical mistake. Yesterday, Arun returned home on his own. Although Arun was neither physically nor mentally fit to withstand the attention of that place, he felt sorry for everyone in the Silver Rabbit Guild. He wondered what happened after he left that place. Even though he was curious, Arun knew it might be rude to go there suddenly. He decided to get in touch with the Silver Rabbit Guild later. For the time being, Arun decided to go to the Adventurers Guild. Arun wanted to find how the Black Dragon appeared there, but when he went there, Arun was soon called for a meeting with the executives for the guild. The Heroes Party, Golden Dawn, was also present there. The guild leader, Leon, thanked Arun for coming. It was truly a bad timing Arun chose to visit there. Even though it was sudden, Leon wanted to inquire about yesterday's event. To be precise, he wanted to know how Arun defeated the Black Dragon. Arun knew that the Black Dragon incident had something to do with the Heroes Party. Arun explained that he just fought the Black Dragon and refused to reveal the details of the fight. Since Arun didn't participate in the cleanup, he could only give information about the fight. So Leon asked Luna to explain the story once again. Arun was shocked to hear that, and he was also in a bad mood at that time. Luna explained clearly about how the Black Dragon escaped from the 92nd floor. In the end, the deportation was activated to reduce casualties, but there was some confusion about the corpse of the Black Dragon that appeared on the ground. With the help of the guild, the situation was quickly resolved. After hearing that, Leon asked Arun about his side of the story. The Black Dragon has moved through the portable door to the level 50 where Silver Rabbit was. Selma also gave a report to the guild that Arun defeated the Black Dragon alone. Leon inquired whether it was all true. Arun was truly shocked to hear Luna's story. He never thought his ex-party members were so stupid. Arun agreed that he defeated the Black Dragon alone. On the basis of reporting obligations in the dungeon exploration, Arun agreed to report the battle information on the Black Dragon, which Leon asked earlier. Arun wanted to reveal 2 content points. He learned some new attack patterns of Black Dragon and how it compares to their last fight with it. But Derek snickered when he heard about it. Derek felt that Oliver and Annalie's attack already left the dragon vulnerable and Arun defeated the weakened dragon. He shamelessly asked Arun to be thankful to them for saving his life. Arun asked that stranger to shut his mouth and not to interrupt his briefing. The idiot Derek was angered, but Arun refused to stand down. He wanted the clueless Derek to shut his mouth. Derek and Annalie got mad to see Arun talking back to them, but Arun was not a complete idiot like them. He got Leon's permission for talking to Heroes Party and apologized for not continuing his briefing. He had completely reached his limit. He was really disgusted with them. He then called Oliver, the leader of the Heroes Party. He understood there was an irregularity in this case, as they didn't expect the floor boss to leave the floor. But first of all, he wondered why Oliver raided the 92nd floor with a newly hired enchanter. Arun knew that Luna would have objected to that idea, but he wondered why Oliver ignored her. He knew Oliver's arrogance led to this incident. Oliver had no choice but to agree. Arun told them many times that 92 and 93 floors were pure luck. At their current strength, the chances of advancing further floors are slim to none. In fact, there were so many times they could have died with only a slight mistake. He then inquired about Oliver's arrogance in raiding the 92 floor. Oliver also got mad to hear Arun's nagging once again. He countered that he had changed their enchanter for that reason. Since Philly could use support magic better than Arun, Oliver thought they could still continue, and that's why they chose to raid the 92 floor. Arun explained that he was not mad as they kicked him out after majority members of the party agreed. Arun also knew there were many more supportive enchanters besides him. He had to admit he was saddened when he was kicked out. He agreed with their thought that Arun would hinder their goal in conquering the Great Labyrinth. Arun was mad because Oliver was disrespecting the enchanters. Oliver shouted that he didn't disrespect Arun, and he changed the enchanter because he thought the change was important. Oren was shocked to see his idiotic friend's stubbornness. Oliver can't understand how many things a supportive enchanter had to be aware of. Orun knew that the hero's party wanted the new recruit to be on the same level as him from the start. He wondered how Oliver could think of it when he had never once taken charge for the whole group. He criticized them that even a B-rank team knows such basics. Oliver couldn't stand Oren's criticism, and he showed his real thoughts. He felt that there was nothing that enchanters had to be aware of, and they just had to reapply the buff when it's time. Other than that, they just had to give orders from a safe distance. Oliver felt it was an easy task that everyone who knew how to use support magic could do it. Oliver felt that support enchanter was the easiest job out there. Hearing that, Oren stood up in anger and exclaimed 60 seconds for Oliver, 134 seconds for Annalie, 186 seconds for Derek, and 140 seconds for Luna. He wondered whether they even knew what that was. Oren revealed that it was the time for their buffs to wear off. Oren also decided to give a quick lesson to Oliver. Basically, a bestowing enchanter casts an average of 3 buffs on an ally during a fight. Also, the timing of when the magic activates isn't always the same. The support enchanters had to keep track of all those durations, update the buffs, and make sure they have the right one for them. They also had to play the role of leader of the group. He inquired whether Oliver could do every one of them. Since it was just a parallel construction application, one could use it if they get used to it. Orun agreed that Oliver was capable of that since he is a genius. But it was not the case for the newcomer filly. Orun knew Oliver would have started fighting as soon as he entered the floor, saying that he was checking the link. But the duration of support magic depends on the target, and it's hard to tell right off the bat. They could also die if they ran out of buff at some time. As such thoughts roamed Orun's mind, he desperately struggled during the battle. Then, Orun called out Oliver and inquired what part of it was easy for him. Orun asked them to be thankful to Philly for making it back alive this time. Now, no one in the hero's party could be able to talk back to Orun. After that, Orun apologized to Leon for the nasty part and reported the whole incident at the 50th floor. After hearing the full report, Leon was amused. There was no fault in Orun's report, but compared to the other adventurers' report, they give more information about how the group fought. But Orun's report is very good at hiding information about their party fighting powers. The only thing the adventurer had to report is the information they got in the maze and not reveal their fighting style or original magic, since it would make them more vulnerable to let the enemies be knowledgeable about their abilities. Leon complimented Orun for being clever, but there was one last thing. He wanted to know Orun's future plans. Since Orun managed to defeat the Black alone, Leon was sure that the teams and clans that wanted him would surely increase. There is a possibility that they would fight over him, and that would cause chaos. So the guild wanted to keep an eye on his future movements. But Orun had no plans that far ahead, and he only remembered Selma and the 10th Squad rookies when he heard the word future. Orun revealed that he would keep exploring unhurriedly for a while. Leon then talked about the Great Western Labyrinth of the Saber Empire, which had been conquered. Currently, Un is in the Kingdom of Novitant, southwest of the continent, adjacent to the northern part of the Novitant Kingdom, and occupying the western part of the continent, is the Saber Empire. The Great Labyrinth of the West is located there in a city called Sabal. About 3 months ago, the deepest part of the labyrinth was conquered. After that, the magical beast stopped appearing, and most of the function as a great labyrinth was lost. The adventurers who were based in Sabal have moved to this city and the remaining 3 labyrinths in the region to make it their base of operations. So taking advantage of this opportunity, there were numerous movements of disbanding and forming teams. Leon asked Orun to inform him if he faced any troubles. After that, Orun left the Adventurers Guild after thanking them, but he knew that the Heroes Party and the Guild would discuss the penalties for resorting to the deportation spell. The air inside the conference room was heavy, but it didn't have anything to do with him. He had his condolences for the Heroes Party, and he left the room with a smile. The next day, Selma went to the inn, where Orun stayed to inquire about his health. Orun had no problem, and he recovered within a day, but Orun was surprised to see Selma visit him there. He expected that Selma wanted to talk to him about the reward. But before that, Selma thanked him for saving everyone the previous day. They were able to complete the quest without losing a single person thanks to Orun. Selma bowed to Orun for his help, but Orun didn't like that. He can't believe that Selma, a powerful clan leader, bowed her head to him. However, Selma wanted to thank Orun for saving their clan's future recruits, including her. Orun was amused by Selma's honesty, but he wanted to get the rewards for his hard work. but Selma wanted to talk about it in another place. She wanted Oren to go to clan headquarters along with her. Silver Rabbit's head is looking forward to seeing Oren. After enjoying refreshments at the inn, they both reached the headquarters of the Silver Rabbit. The leader, Vince, also thanked Oren once again for saving everyone. Oren shrugged and said he did what he had to do since he accepted the job. But Selma didn't want to take Oren's help for granted. In that situation, no one could blame him if he were to run away. But Oren didn't run away and stood up against the Black Dragon and defeated it. Vince wanted him to be proud of his achievement. He then gave the reward for Oren's job. But Oren was shocked to see them giving him platinum coins. 1 platinum coin is worth 10 gold coins. They had given him 10 platinum coins, which means they had given him 100 gold coins. But the reward was only 10 gold coins, and Oren was shocked to receive such a huge amount of money. Vince convinced him that the 10 gold coins are too cheap after considering that he saved the group from the Black Dragon. In the end, due to Vince's insistence, Oren decided to take the reward. He then stored it in his magic inventory. As Oren was preparing to leave, Vince stopped him as he had one more thing he wanted to tell him. They called him there to talk about that. To be honest, Vince expects Oren to join their Silver Rabbit clan. Oren was shocked to see the head himself recruiting him, which showed their honesty. Vince wanted Oren to join their first unit, which was being led by Selma. It was their strongest team, and they wanted Oren as a vanguard attacker. Oren was surprised and felt that taking the Black Dragon down was actually useful. Seeing Oren hesitating, Vince throwed a bigger bait. He wants to recommend Oren for the top executive position in the clan, but Oren denied that as he felt he was too young for that important position. Selma assured Oren that their executive management is supposed to be chosen by each department for the exploration department. It is enough to have a background in maze exploration and the ability to be considered a good explorer. Selma was amused by Oren's teaching ability. On top of that, Vince felt Oren is polite, diligent, and hardworking, so they believed Oren would be perfect for that position. Oren was embarrassed as they kept praising him. Selma is also the executive of the Exploration Division, and she exclaimed she would be happy to support the Silver Rabbit clan with him. Oren thought about Albert, who passed away last year. He was the vanguard attacker of the first unit, and Oren was considered to be his successor. To be honest, the clan situation had nothing to do with Oren, but the Silver Rabbit Guild acknowledged his ability, and they were ready to include in their team as a swordsman. Oren was happy to receive such a proposal. But he thought about his past with the Heroes Party and felt that he didn't need a partner again. Seeing Oren contemplating, Vince explained he didn't have to answer him immediately. Even though the proposal was made in a short time, Vince wanted him to think about it. With that, Oren left the headquarters of the Silver Rabbit. Soon, he went to the grandpa's store, whom he considered as his family members, but the grandpa laughed after seeing Oren. About the earlier suggestion, he was having a bad time and found himself in the grandpa's store. The grandpa laughed because Oren seemed like a kid to him, at least for once. After hearing about Oren's situation, Grandpa knew exactly what Oren was worried about. Oren felt that they would throw him away after using him again. When he was kicked out of the Heroes team, he knew in his head that it was his fault for not being useful. After all, it's frustrating as he had done his best so far. That's why he preferred to be alone from then on. He had a lot of things happen, but he had a lot of fun during the 3 days he spent in the Silver Rabbit. The grandpa explained to Oren that this society is based on mutually beneficial relationships. People can't live alone. Everyone relies on someone's support. Sometimes, one must be supporting other people without knowing it. It's the same with his relationship with Oren. Oren uses him to get what he wants, and the grandpa uses Oren to make money. Use is a word that is difficult to grasp positively. It can be rephrased as make up for each other's missing parts. Oren seems to think that when he joins a clan, he is the only one who has something to offer. The grandpa believes that a clan also has something to offer to Oren. That's when Oren realized that he can also count on the clan's help. He will help the clan conquer the Great Labyrinth, and the clan should be able to provide all kinds of support. After that, it's up to him whether to get rid of them or not. Oren seemed to have a new realization. The grandpa explains that whatever he decides, he would face regret. Whether he joins the Silver Rabbit or not, he will regret it one way or another. Oren needs to make a decision considering the future. That's why it's important to make a choice that would make a little bit of sense to him. After hearing the grandpa's advice, Oren left the store thanking him. He even promised that he would buy something next time. After leaving the store, he walked around while thinking, even though Grandpa helped, he still hasn't made up his mind yet because he was afraid of a future of regrets. Oren couldn't think there's any choice he can make that makes sense to his future self. As he walked, he came upon a place with a clear moon view. Seeing it reminded him of Luna, the only friend who didn't betray him. Luna's name meant moon. As he was mesmerized by the moon, Sophia called him out. Orun was surprised to see Sophia there. He wondered why she was there, as it was late at night. Sophia explained that she got her sister's approval and that place isn't far from the clan headquarters. She inquired Orun for his purpose being there. Orun explained that he just had some thinking. To do so, he found a nice and breezy place. Then, he inquired Sophia her purpose to be there at that time. Sophia smiled and revealed that it was her favorite place to hang out. If something goes wrong, Sophia would always see the sky in that place. It gives her a peace of mind. Afterwards, she remembered that she forgot something important. She thanked Orun for saving her the previous day. Orun is embarrassed as it was the third time he was thanked for his job as the leader. Even though Orun is humble, Sophia was saved 2 times by Orun and she was thankful for that. She was prepared to do anything for Orun to repay the favor. Orun also agreed for that, but he didn't mean to do that. Then both of them looked at the moon and enjoyed the scenery. Seeing her, Orun wondered whether Sophia liked the moon. Sophia agreed to that. She had been looking at the moon since she was a little girl. The moon shines with the same intensity, even in dark places. So Sophia feels she is receiving some kind of power when she looks at it. Then she wondered whether Orun knew the meaning of their guild, Silver Rabbit in the night sky. The moon is also called the beacon of the night. Just like the moon, the Silver Rabbit wanted to be a beacon for all the explorers. Sophia felt proud in explaining their guild name, and Orun just listened to everything calmly. But the word beacon resounded to him. He felt like he had the same discussion with someone a long time ago. It may sound far-fetched, but Sophia's world changed when she joined the Silver Rabbit Guild. She doesn't know anything about the future, but she had a feeling that if she stayed in Silver Rabbit, she would soon find something. Orun didn't think Sophia was exaggerating about the Silver Rabbit Guild. The environment greatly influences a person's value. If she is in a place where there are a lot of people like the members of Silver Rabbit, she will have many opportunities to come into contact with ideas and points of view different from her own. As a result of the accumulation of those experiences, Orun thinks Sophia feels like the world has changed. Sophia also agreed with Orun's words, which have just entered her heart. Since she met many people in Silver Rabbit, her world has changed. Orun inquired about Sophia's thoughts about the Silver Rabbit Guild. Sophia felt the Silver Rabbit Guild showed her different paths and the guild which gave her a smile. She could proudly say that the guild was her home now. Orun was surprised to hear that answer. Seeing Orun spacing out, Sophia wondered whether her answer was not good enough, but Orun thanked her for answering all of his questions. He was really thankful for seeing Sophia there at that time. But Sophia had a big question about why Orun was asking her questions about the guild. Orun revealed that he just wanted to know more about the guild that he will join in the future. Now it was Sophia's turn to be shocked. Since the moon has completely set, Orun proposed to take her back to the clan headquarters, since he had some business to attend there. Soon both of them went back to the clan. After leaving Sophia to her room, Orun went to meet the guild leader, Vince. He agreed to join the guild as per his proposal. He also changed his way of addressing Vince as leader. That day, the exiled member of the Heroes Party joined the rival guild Ace team, the Silver Rabbit in the Night Sky. Since whatever Orun chose, he would regret it one day anyway, so he decided to stick with what he feels now, because he thinks it's a choice that his future self will be at least somewhat satisfied with. Suddenly, Selma entered the room and congratulated Orun for joining the team. She gave him a uniform she had already prepared and asked him to try it on. But the uniform was too big for him. Selma designed his uniform by referencing Orun's long coat, but Orun felt uncomfortable with the size. Selma revealed that it was no problem and snapped her fingers. Soon, the uniform glowed magically and restructured itself to suit Orun. He was surprised by that, and Vince explains that it was one of their guild's best-kept secrets. But Orun was not allowed to speak about it to anyone. Orun was thankful for the care he was receiving. He looks forward to working with them in the future. 2 days after Orun's visit to the guild master Leon went to visit the Grandmaster of the Adventurers Guild. The Grandmaster is a man in his 30s, and he had an eye patch over his right eye. Leon was the leader of the Southern Adventure Guild, and he came to report something important. He revealed that, 3 days ago, under his jurisdiction, a single adventurer managed to defeat a boss from the depths of the labyrinth. The Grandmaster was shocked to hear that, but he was glad to see improvement in the south. To go up against a deep-level boss alone, one had to be a bit reckless. Since the Black Dragon was active outside of the boss zone, it appears to have been an improper response to the irregularity of the situation. The Grandmaster felt the clearing of the West Labyrinth could have caused that irregularity. The Grandmaster thought it was Oliver who defeated the boss, but Leon denied that. The Grandmaster thought by himself, and wondered whether it was Orun. Leon agreed, but he was surprised to see the Grandmaster knowledgeable about Orun. But the Grandmaster never thought that Orun was in a position to wield that much power. He still didn't believe that Orun would have chosen to take on a deep floor boss. He inquired Leon if he noticed anything unusual about him lately, but Leon denied that. Orun's attitude towards the guild was normal, and no anomalies were detected on the report of the Black Dragon's defeat. The Grandmaster felt that Orun hadn't changed a bit, but he still wondered where Orun got the power to defeat the Black Dragon. He was very curious about it, and he thanked Leon for that info. The Grandmaster wanted information about Leon if anything happened to him, and Leon left the headquarters. The Grandmaster was very excited, as if it continued like this, Orun would be his savior. He gripped his shoulder and planned to put the past behind when the time comes. The Grandmaster revealed an evil laugh. He wanted Orun to keep dancing like that without waking up from his dreams so that he could fulfill his ambitions.
At the same time, in the Great Eastern Labyrinth 95th floor, an unknown party is causing havoc. A party of 4 members annihilated many members and their bodies littered the ground. Agnes O'Toole comments they didn't expect 5 high-level parties to collude. Gibeah Rachels, the defender, responds with a casual remark about the inevitable results. Azrael Hound, the support hand, expresses relief that the situation didn't harm them. Azrael inquired about Cheyenne's plan after this. Cheyenne, who covered her face with a hood, suggests leaving since they will never see any major explorers appearing from the town anytime soon. Despite casually killing many people, the group decides to go up to the surface and wait for the next request. But unbeknownst to them, there was still a survivor from the group. He refused to let them leave. Azrael didn't expect to find one alive. Instead of saving himself, he confronts the party, angered by their actions as they killed his friends. Cheyenne, the leader, calmly states that they treated him like a monster, and his friends died because they were weak. She ridiculed him for venturing into the Great Labyrinth with such meager strength. The man, frustrated, pulls out a potion, vowing to kill them all. He drank the portion without wasting the time. Gibeah notices the pungent smell and he had a bad feeling about that. Soon an ominous energy engulfed that man. He then transformed into a humanoid monster with huge claws. He was determined to show them the hell they brought upon him by killing their party members. His entire body was covered with something like a magical barrier. The party wondered whether it was an independently developed drug. Azrael acknowledges the situation to be quite a problem. On the other hand, Cheyenne confirmed that the Order has cooperated with the man. The man began to leap forward to attack the whole group. He lost his sense of reason due to the effects of the drug. But Cheyenne was not afraid of his transformation, and she also can't waste any more time. Cheyenne, unveiling her face, began to cast a powerful magic. She had a white hair and golden eyes. She apologizes as she had no choice since the man refuses to listen. She casted her magic, Zion, Universal Hand, and freezed the monster. The whole forest turned into a snow field due to her magic. Only after a few minutes, the man regained his consciousness. But now there was no way to escape this predicament. In the end, the man lost his life by having his whole body frozen. Cheyenne just watched the man dying in silence without showing any emotions. Now their mission is completed, and Azrael was impressed how Cheyenne instantly killed that monster. Gibeah wondered how Cheyenne was able to activate such a large spell in an instant. The enemy tried to boost his magic resistance, but even that wasn't enough to escape from that attack. Angie's was glad that Cheyenne was on their side as she didn't want to be on the receiving end of that attack. Cheyenne also felt the same way, and now that thing has quieted down, she, looking at the bushes, commands the hidden informant to come out. Soon the whole party heard a voice which complimented Cheyenne's observation skills. Soon another hooded figure appeared before them out of thin air. Agnes felt the informant didn't have even a slightest bit of presence. Cheyenne then inquired about the next thing he wanted her to do. The informant explained that the headquarters notified him. He reveals a lone explorer has managed to defeat the boss of the Deep South Floor, Black Dragon. He was nicknamed as Dragon Hunter. They were instructed to kill him if they came into contact with him. Cheyenne frowns, puzzled by the existence of such a powerful individual in the South. She inquired for further information, and the informant felt that the person in question might be already working for the Order. By reviewing the information, Cheyenne felt that Oliver was not the Dragon Hunter. The informant wanted Cheyenne to recruit the mysterious Dragon Hunter to their side if possible. However, Cheyenne disagrees with this decision. She thinks that if he's already sided with the Order, there's no choice but to eliminate him. After hearing that, the information left from that place. Gibeah felt the informant magic was quite useful, as he could come and go anywhere as he pleases. Azrael felt Cheyenne now had her next request on her hand. Now with their new task, they decide to enter the Great Southern Labyrinth where Oren was. The South is now dominated by the Order, so she wanted them to be careful. She doesn't know whether she will be able to move freely there, so she needs Azrael to gather information for her. She asked the other members to reach the depth of the dungeon, like this time individually. Agnes was frustrated as they had to start from the first level again. Gibeah explains why they had to enter the Southern Labyrinth while hiding their identity. If the Order found them, they would be deported right away from there. Azrael wonders how powerful the person was, and Cheyenne feels they won't know until they fight him. Soon the party prepared to leave that place. Cheyenne thought about the mysterious adventurer who was good enough to take down the Black Dragon by himself. She never thought someone like her would show up in the South. She doesn't like the idea of getting involved with the Order, but no one can handle the powerful enemy other than her. It was also possible for the South to be ruined like the West, where the dungeon was conquered, so she was determined to stop it at all costs. She mentions that someone close to her recently died, and she promised to continue his legacy. In a flashback, she and the person she loved the most make a pinky promise. It was none other than Oren, who was also the person she loved the most. That sentiment is still there to this day, and it will never go away no matter what. She was the childhood friend of Oren who he remembered in his dream before. She recalled the past where she received information about Oren's village annihilation by a group of bandits. She will never forget that feeling when she faced despair. She apologizes to Oren as she couldn't fight for him that day. She wanted to fight even if it meant being alone. She wanted to crush anyone who would stand in her way. She pledges to take revenge by killing the Grand Master of the Order, who sent Oren to his death. If the Dragon Hunter is an ally of the Order, she wants to kill him. Little does she know that the Dragon Hunter is actually the love of her life, Oren. Meanwhile, at the Silver Rabbit headquarters cafeteria, Oren thanked Selma for showing his room that morning. After he joined, he felt the Silver Rabbit had all the facilities one would expect from the Great Clan. Sophia and Selma joined Oren for his breakfast. Selma wanted to introduce more sites of the clan, but she wanted to let Oren to rest. Oren was going through procedures from yesterday, so she was considerate of him. Oren also comments about how food is also good there. Even though one can't choose the menu, the food is made with nutritional balance in mind. Oren also felt there's something good about eating the same food together. It reminds him of a family where everyone would share the same meal, and both the sisters were happy to hear that. Then he discussed whether it was his imagination, as everyone seemed to be staring at him. Selma teases him about being the most talked about celebrity in town. Oren doesn't mind the attention, as it was better than how everyone looked at him when he was kicked out of the heroes' party. He can't wait for things to settle down, as he could enjoy a normal life. Soon a blonde man greeted him. His name is Wilkes, who was the member of the first unit of the Silver Rabbit clan. Oren remembered him as the Silver Rabbit, and the heroes' party once collaborated in a raid. Wilkes never thought that Oren would come to their clan at that time. Although Oren knew about the entire party members, he only barely interacted with them other than Selma. He wanted to get along with them, as they would be his companions from then on. Wilkes compliments Oren on his cool new nickname, the Dragon Hunter, which has become famous even within his own clan. But Oren felt bad about that, but Wilkes felt Oren deserved that title as he defeated the Black Dragon alone. But his nickname, Dragon Hunter, also meant that the Silver Rabbit was useless in his fight against the Black Dragon. Since he was a member of this clan, he wanted to fight along with everyone. Selma, Sophia, and Wilkes were moved by that, and they welcomed the Dragon Hunter to their first squad. The next day, in a cozy conference room of the Silver Rabbit clan, a meeting for executives is held. Vince, the leader of the Silver Rabbit, initiated the regular meeting. The meeting had many executives from various branches of the guild, and Selma also attended the meeting as an executive. Oren stood there silently and watched the whole meeting. The timing was good, as he couldn't believe there's a meeting that the entire executive branch attends so soon after he had joined. Before starting the meeting, Vince decided to reintroduce Oren to everyone. Oren Dura, a new recruit who joined their clan just one day before. Oren was originally an enchanter belonging to the heroes' party. After he left, the Silver Rabbit was lucky enough to have him join them on their teaching expedition. On that occasion, he single-handedly defeated a black dragon that suddenly appeared and risked his life to protect their clan members. Besides his fighting powers, Vince believed Oren possessed a wealth of knowledge not found in their clan. He also proclaimed Oren as the one who practically led and managed the heroes' party. Hearing all this, Oren felt Vince was exaggerating him more than needed. With confidence, Vince declares his desire to appoint Oren as an executive. He wanted Oren to replace the position of Albert, who sacrificed himself to the Black Dragon to protect his comrades last year. That decision requires the consent of 2/3 or more of the current executives, and Vince wanted to come to a swift decision on that matter. Everyone in the room looked at Oren and tried to figure out what he was made of. It even made him startled. As Vince planned to count the votes, a man stopped him. Before the vote, the man wanted to question Oren. He inquired whether Oren was willing to accept such a position. He reminded Oren about the expectations that would be placed on him, since he had the backing of the president of the Silver Rabbit. However, he wanted to make sure that Oren was mentally prepared to join their clan. If Oren becomes an executive, his decisions will affect the lives of many people. Oren knew he would be asked this question in the conference, but it's not his way of thinking. The executives wanted Oren to adapt and protect this clan till his death. It was easy to lie at that point, but Oren can't say that. On that day when he lost his whole village, he swore an oath. He cannot lie to others, and he must always tell others what he sincerely thinks. So he declared his thoughts in front of them like an honest person. He declared that he had no intention of dedicating himself to the clan. The whole conference room soon became loud as the executives began to discuss among themselves. The man inquired Oren's purpose to be there, since he had no intention of becoming a devotee of the clan. Oren began to explain that he wouldn't change himself for the clan, but from the moment he joined it, he was prepared. As a member of the Silver Rabbit, he vowed to protect his comrades. He doesn't want to lose everything, even if it's impossible, and it was the oath he took when he became an adventurer. To be clear, he wanted to protect the clan members rather than the clan as a whole. Everyone in the room was amazed to see Oren's resolve. Vince asked everyone to raise their hands to appoint Oren to the executive position. All the executives gathered in the conference room raised their hands, and with that, Oren became an executive member of the Silver Rabbit clan. After that, the individual reports began. The movements of the adventurers, the activities of the different departments, and the flow of funds. The main contents were the development of magic tools, and other equipment. Oren was glad to participate in that conference as he got an idea of what's happening in it. The meeting went on till the afternoon. After finishing the meeting, Selma planned to arrange a meeting between the first squad where Oren would be joining. She explains everyone was curious to meet him. Before that, someone stopped both of them. Stella from the research department has something to discuss with the new executive. Oren was taken back as it was out of nowhere. Stella wondered whether Oren was good at teaching others. Oren explained he could do it as long as it was within his knowledge. Stella was glad to hear that, as it was expected from the multi-talent from the Golden Dawn. Heroes Party's original name is Golden Dawn. Stella requests him to mentor a certain group of newbies. Oren was surprised to hear that, as it was another work from his current job. But even Selma asked Oren to consider that. Oren felt that it would interfere with his operations with the first squad, but Selma assures that was not the problem. She was sure Oren would have a lot more time to spare than when he was in the Heroes Party, since the first squad basically never dives into the Great Labyrinth on consecutive days. She also revealed they were not allowed to explore the Great Labyrinth 4 days in a row. Oren understood the motives of the Silver Rabbit, which would reduce the stress of the high-rank adventurers in that way. Since he would be free for some time, Oren decided to take on the job. Stella was glad to see Oren accepting the job, as the students had specifically asked for him. Oren was shocked to hear that. Stella prepared to leave and promised to send him the documents that day itself. Seeing Stella finishing her job, Oren felt she was like a storm. Selma called out to him as they wanted to meet the remaining members of the first squad. But Oren wondered why Selma was still acting as a guide for him the day before. Selma playfully jokes that he would find the reason soon enough. They began to move towards the room allocated for the first squad. On the way, Oren found the library of the clan, which contains information about various mazes in the area. Selma explains that each file also contains information collected independently by the clan, and any member of the clan is free to consult about it. Oren found that place amusing and wanted to read it all. But Selma wanted him to do that later, as they almost reached their room. As soon as they entered the room, a loud voice exclaimed that they were waiting for them. The group consists of 2 girls and 1 boy. Wilkes was also who he met in the cafeteria. He was so nervous to meet his new companions, and Selma tried to calm him down. Since it was not like it was their first time they met each other. They had already met once in their joint raid last month. But Selma wanted them all to introduce themselves again. Oren thought about last month's joint raid, where a dragon suddenly appeared on the earth. 3 S-rank groups were summoned to take down the dragon. Oren felt that the raid was almost like a friendly match between 3 S-rank parties. Soon the eldest of the group decided to introduce herself first. Her name was Rain Hugwell, who had brown hair and green eyes. She was 24 years old and a mage of the group. Oren was shocked to hear that, as he thought Rain was 14 at the most. Oren also noticed that Rain's robe also didn't fit her size. He had to agree that at first glance no one would say she is one of the best mages in the continent. Rain used a lot of high-level magic in the raid, and she's one of those people who prefers quality over quantity. Then the next person introduced herself. Her name is Lucretia Otis and her position is healing mage. She had blue hair and brown eyes. She wanted Oren to call her Luker, and she was a cheerful type. She and Oren were the same age, and she joked about whether Oren was cowed to do a date with her. She participated as a sorceress in the joint action. At that time, she used mainly advanced magic, so Oren was not sure how good of a heal she was. Then Luker asked the next person to introduce himself. It was none other than the blabbermouth of the group. He was mad to be called like that. His name is Wilkes Severley. He is 20 years old and he was the vanguard of that group. He wanted to be called Will. Oren had already met him in the cafeteria, and he knew that Will was a very attentive and reliable person. Since he was deputy to the late Albert in that unit. He uses dual swords to fight. Then Rain asked the sister to give her an introduction. It was none other than Selma, who was the leader of that group. She was the enchanting magician, and in charge of the search and orders. There was no need to describe her. Selma is the best enchanting magician on the continent. She's an expert in magic. Both her activation speed and power are top-notch. At the end of the day, Oren met new members who would be his companions from then on. Oren Dura introduced himself lastly. He is 18 years old and he was the vanguard attacker. Oren looked forward to working along with them. Selma asked him to not use honorifics as they were in the same party. Luker chipped in and mentioned that she never uses honorifics as well. But Will ridiculed her to be respectful to her elders, including him. Selma explains the conversations would be shorter without honorifics and it would be more efficient in the battle, so Oren also agreed to talk to everyone casually. Will then decided to ask a question which was bugging him for a while. He wanted to know how Oren managed to defeat the Black Dragon. Since they were comrades, Oren decided to reveal his abilities. He reveals it was thanks to 2 of his original magic tricks. The first skill is Instant Skill Boost. It can increase the effects of the equipment and magic by a factor of 100. Will was shocked to hear that, and Oren clarified that it would only work for a brief moment. Rain was also amazed and wondered if Selma could do that as well. Selma denied, as she never had an idea of how to perform that kind of magic. The second skill doesn't have a specific name, and it's a magic that could give him more abilities than normal magic. It was his overlap skill, and it was more like technology than actual magic. Luker was curious about the effects of the overlap skill, and Oren reveals he was able to increase his power by 32 times during the Black Dragon battle. Unlike Instant Skill Boost, he can use that skill for a period of time. The effects of that skill sure surprised everyone. Oren also knew it was kind of a cheating ability. But Luker felt there has to be some sort of drawback to those amazing abilities. Oren also agreed with her and revealed there were 2 drawbacks which would disappoint her. First of all, it can only be activated on him. That's why when he was a member of the hero's party, he could only use his normal support magic. His standard enchanting magic can only double the effects and abilities of his targets, so he won't blame his ex-party members for saying that he was not good enough. And secondly, that magic requires a considerable amount of formula building. There is a limit to how long he could keep fighting while constantly using it in the depths. His fight against the Black Dragon took longer than he had anticipated. He remembered that charge where he had to risk his life while hoping his buff won't disappear midway. Will noticed Oren was looking down on his abilities. He exclaimed that his instant skill increase alone is a considerable advantage, and he also found the reason why Selma was speaking highly of him. Selma also felt the magic had severe drawbacks, but its effects were more beneficial than she had thought. She felt Oren's original magic was great, and Oren was embarrassed by that compliment. Oren explains that instant skill boost maximum effect is 100 times and it could vary the next time. He was ready to answer more questions about his ability. Rain wondered if there were other positions he could play in the party. Oren revealed he could fight in all positions, but his skill would be higher than rank B and lower than rank A adventurer. He also reveals that he can't play the position of rear attackers. Rain was confused why Oren can't do that when he has such great magic. Oren reveals he can't use magic beyond higher levels. He can only use magic up to intermediate level no matter how hard he tries. Everyone was shocked to hear that. Selma then praises Oren for developing his own magic even in that state. But Oren was rather sad about that, since it was the reason why he was exiled from the hero's party. Since he had his own magic, Oren felt that he was not completely useless. Seeing Oren like that, Rain complimented his hard work. She hoped one day Oren could use the high-level magic. She was also willing to help him practice if he needed to. Oren was surprised to hear that and thanked Rain for her help. Next, Luker inquired whether Oren had any special powers unique to him. Oren reveals his convergence of magic force, which converges the magical power of the environment into a single concentrated point. It can be used to build platforms in the air, and he could also use the impact to reinforce his attack. He can also incorporate it into magic, like how he created a black sword to slay the Black Dragon. Will felt Oren abilities had various uses. He was glad to have 3 members in the first squad with special abilities. Oren was surprised to hear that and thought Will had a special ability. But Will denied that. He revealed the other 2 were Selma and Luker, who showed a proud pose. Luker revealed her special ability, magic tracking. She can trace magic residue and wizardry. She can see where the magic was fired and the location of the caster. Oren was amused by that, and Luker felt Selma's ability was much cooler than hers. But Selma was rather embarrassed to share that like Luker. Selma's special power is telepathy. It connects an invisible thread between herself and everyone else. She could communicate with anyone without making a single sound. Oren was shocked to hear that, since it was the ability he always wanted when he was in the hero's party to increase the effectiveness of his command. He also felt rather sad as he remembered the past. Then he inquired Selma if all his thoughts would be broadcasted, but Selma denied that. Even though it was hard to explain, through this unusual power she could exchange thoughts and feelings that they want to convey to each other. It won't broadcast every single thought. The range is also only a few kilometers in a radius around her. Even though Selma was modest, its range surprised Oren the most. He also remembered the time when Selma told him everyone was excited to meet him. It was thanks to her special ability she was able to speak with them from far away. Oren is amused to see the whole group having a good diversity of skills. After the introductions, Selma decided to end their discussions. She wanted everyone to assemble there at 9 in the morning so that they could raid the lower level to check their links to work as a whole group. But Will wanted to have a welcome party for Oren and suggested eating outside. But Oren was not comfortable with that. He wanted to go shopping, but Selma explained that magic tools and medicine would be prepared by their clan. Oren clarifies he wants to buy a sword as he had lost 2 of them in his battle with the Black Dragon. His skill, magic sword creation, consumes too much of his magic, so it can't work as a substitute for a normal sword. Will was shocked to hear that Oren didn't have any weapons with him. Oren reveals he has 1 left, but he wanted to stock up just in case. Rain felt that the order would at least take a few days to make the sword. Oren reveals he uses a commercial product which was widely created. So he could buy a new sword at the end of the day. The whole group was shocked by that. No adventurer above a rank would use only a custom-made sword, and Oren was S-rank adventurer now. Oren changed his position to an enchanter when he was rank B swordsman, so he didn't have a custom-made sword. Since everything revolves around sharpness and durability, Oren felt he could compensate for that with his support magic. But Luker questions whether Oren feels uncomfortable in his center of gravity while using the commercial sword. The genius Oren reveals he could adjust it, while shaking the sword a few times. Besides, Oren doesn't want to buy a custom sword which needs so much effort to maintain its condition. Rain became mad at Oren's mindset. From then on, he was the ace of the Silver Rabbit. She doesn't want Oren to use a cheap sword to destroy its image. Oren was surprised to see Rain raising her voice. Rain stood up from her place and moved to the opposite side and grabbed his hand. She asked Oren to follow her and dragged him. Oren was taken back by Rain's behavior. Even though Oren had no idea where Rain was taking him, he still followed her. Soon the other three also followed the two from behind. Oren and his friends reached the blacksmith's shop and Rain asked Alan to make Oren a sword. Alan was the blacksmith responsible for Silver Rabbit Guild's weapons. He was surprised by the unexpected visit of the First Division. He also recognized Oren, the famous dragon hunter. Then he understood they wanted him to make Oren's sword. But Alan wondered whether he was good enough as he believed Oren already had a well-respected blacksmith working for him. Rain thought that was true and berated Oren for using weapons sold in the market. Now Alan was shocked to find Oren was not using a customized sword. He also confirmed that from Oren himself. Alan can't believe Oren was putting his life in the hands of the third-rate blacksmiths. He was not saying that commercial products were bad, but customized weapons were always better than that. Oren never had been particularly picky about the weapons he used, but he changed his mind after seeing Rain get mad at him for that. Oren always thought the commercial product was alright, but now that he had become a member of the first squad of Silver Rabbit, he decided to reconsider the weapons he should use. Rain was moved to hear that Oren changed his opinion. Convinced by Oren's passionate speech, Alan agreed to make the sword. Will praised Oren as Alan was the best blacksmith in the Silver Rabbit Guild and his weapons were also made by him. He vouched for its quality. Then Alan expressed there's a problem which shocked the both. He would usually use materials from the deepest parts of the labyrinth, but now they were low on those materials. That's why Alan wanted them to gather him some. Everyone's mood had fallen after hearing that, but Oren considered that as no problem. He revealed that he already had a stash of deep materials. Everyone was shocked to see that huge amount of materials in front of them. Selma wondered how Oren managed to have such an amount. Oren explained he had got that when he was in the heroes' party and didn't use them until now. However, he also knew the rest of the party members had likely used up or sold their materials. Except Luna, they were the kind who spent a lot of money and they made useless magic tools and sold the rest of materials to make money for fun. Oren, being the only one who had foresight, had saved the materials for himself. In the end, Alan agreed to make a sword with those materials. Lucre also found materials like griffin blades and manticore fangs. Then she notices a sturdy black thing among the materials. Oren reveals that the black materials are the scales of a black dragon he defeated recently, shocking everyone in the shop. Oren noticed everyone's reaction, but Selma explained she was just too surprised. Oren then recalled that the first squad fought the black dragon last year and lost a member, so it's a traumatic experience for them. Oren decided to not use the black scales for his weapon. Rain then noticed Oren's reaction and she asked Alan to make her Oren's sword with the black dragon scales. Alan vowed to make the best sword with such a precious material. Oren knows Rain hasn't forgiven the black dragon, but she is also considerate of Oren. Selma then changed the topic and inquired how Oren had managed to store so much in his grimoire storage. It exceeded the normal limit of the standard grimoire, which is a magical device for storing items. Oren explained his grimoire was especially made. When he was in the heroes' party, he used to store all the materials they got from exploring. He knew a standard grimoire wouldn't hold all his items, so he consulted a wizard who made him a new grimoire with more storage capacity. Selma was shocked to hear that, as such a thing could only be modified by someone who had skills comparable to the legendary wizard, Coverdale Evans. She wanted Oren to introduce such a skilled wizard to her, but Oren denied that. He can't reveal his sources due to two conditions on the item: that the person's data be kept secret and that the magic formula of this magic tool not be shown to anyone else. He apologizes to his friends as he can't say more about his cool grimoire. Selma was disappointed, but she wasn't too sad about it. In the end, Oren wanted his sword to be made primarily of black dragon scales. Then Alan inquired about the further details from Oren. But Will intervened as they had to postpone the welcome party. Alan needs Oren to stay back and discuss the perfect sword he desires. Soon everyone prepared to leave, but they looked forward to seeing Oren's customized sword. After thanking everyone, Oren began his meeting with Alan. When Oren started talking about his ideal sword, Alan sometimes looked a bit stunned. But Oren wanted the custom made to be perfect to his needs. In the end, Alan needed a month to craft his sword, and he asked Oren to make preparations for sealing the sword. Even though Oren asked Alan to do the impossible, he agreed to do it. So Oren looked forward to his new sword. Oren leaves the shop with a smile as Alan gifted him a sword as thanks for providing the materials. In the Silver Rabbit clan, the materials obtained by adventurers are first purchased by the exploration department. Then the materials are sold to the craftsmen, so adventurers do not directly provide materials to the clan. Seeing all those, Oren once again realized he truly became a Silver Rabbit Guild's adventurer. He stored the sword in his storage grimoire and left for his room. He was relieved as he didn't have to worry about the sword from now onwards. He decided to go to bed early as they had to raid the labyrinth the next day. When he reached his room, he noticed there was something in the mail. He remembered Stella promised to send him the materials for newcomers. As he extracted the mail, he was shocked to find the list of newcomers. It was none other than the 10th Squad. He was in charge of the teaching expedition. The materials contained the external secret about those 3 members. Now Oren understood what Stella meant about the children, specifically asking him to be their teacher. He was an outsider during the teaching expedition. He realized that the 3 of them had something on their minds, but he couldn't get close at that time. But from now on, Oren decided to guide them properly to the best of his ability. He changed his dress and opened the external secret file. He spots a message from Estella and opens the letter. Estella explains she sent everything about the newcomers' careers, and though some content is a bit depressing, she would love a review from Oren himself. The second page unfolds a brief history of the 10th team, and subsequent pages are profiles of each member. Oren decided to stick to the basics and began to read. Logan's profile catches Oren's attention first. Logan Hayward, born in the rural village in the south of the Kingdom of Nohaitant. From a very young age, his talent for sorcery is unparalleled. Encouraged by the villagers, he came alone to that town to become an adventurer at the age of 12. Later he joined the Silver Rabbit when they were recruiting. Immediately after joining, he proved his talent and was appointed leader of the 10th group. Oren was surprised to see a small boy coming there from a rural village alone to become an adventurer. His situation largely resembled his and Oliver's. Their village was destroyed and everyone was killed by the bandits. But Logan has a home with supportive people, so Oren thought Logan would have some pressure from that. He was sure Logan could become a renowned adventurer as long as he worked hard without solely relying on his talent. But Oren didn't find anything depressing about Logan from the file like Stella mentioned in her letter. Then he went on to read the profile of Sophia. Sophia was born in the eastern city of the Kingdom of Nohaitant. She is the illegitimate daughter of Count Claudel and a servant girl. Oren was shocked to read that information. Due to the death of her mother at the time of birth, Claudel's family took her in. But from a very young age, Count's wife abused her behind her back. At the age of 10, she was still living with the Claudels without ever entering the House of Lords. It was an institute where every noble child would attend who ages 10 to 15. Selma, her half-sister, had already graduated from the House of Lords and had become an adventurer by then. Ever since Selma left home, Count's wife's mistreatment of Sophia intensified day after day. When Selma returned home and discovered what had happened, she broke all her ties with the Claudel family and brought Sophia into the clan. Sophia then herself decided to become an adventurer and was assigned to the 10th unit. Oren finds Sophia's story quite ugly. But Oren never expected Sophia and Selma to be half-sisters. They were so close like real sisters, and Oren never expected such a twist. But he didn't think it would be a problem as Selma was along with her. Oren just needed to give support so that Sophia could become an independent adventurer. He wanted her to not rely on anyone in the future. Then finally, he went to the profile of Caroline Inglow. She is a year older than the other 2 members. Oren was surprised as there were no details about her birth in her profile. She possesses a special ability called self-healing. Afterwards, he was shocked as he read further. For several years, she had been held captive in the fortress of the Order of the Cyclamen. The cult of the Cyclamen are the deadliest magical beasts in fairy tales. The Order of the Cyclamen is an organization that believes in an evil god, and they intend to resurrect this evil god. The organization was dubious at the time that it conspired to resurrect the evil gods which may or may not exist. In fact, they have been found to have engaged in inhumane activities such as human experimentation and human trafficking. They are also known for committing extremely cruel and illegal acts in groups such as attacks on cities and towns. It is one of the largest crime syndicates in the world. Oren was truly taken back by that, and now he understood the meaning behind Stella's letter. 3 years ago, their clan along with other clans destroyed one of the Order of the Cyclamen at the request of the guild. Caroline, who was imprisoned in that base at the time. Albert, a member of the first unit who was participating in the operation, rescued her. The conditions at the time suggest that Caroline was subjected to inhumane treatment at that base. Her mental state was unstable immediately after her rescue, but she recovered to some extent as she continued to recover. Later, at her own request, she joined their clan as an adventurer, and she was assigned to the 10th unit. Oren was so angry and felt disgusted after reading it. Caroline suffered inhumane treatment for a self-healing mutation. He could only guess what Caroline has been through, based on that information alone. Oren was worried about the immeasurable psychological trauma of Caroline. In the teaching expedition, she wanted to fight on the front line, so no one would be in danger. In addition to the hard days in the Order, Oren also knew that Albert's death, which saved her, must have had an effect. Behind her carefree smile, Oren never thought Caroline had a past like that. At the moment, he had an idea of the past of the 3 members of the 10th squad. Other than teaching them, Oren wanted to take care of their mental health and their hearts. Oren was determined to do all his duties in the clan, exploring labyrinths, teaching new recruits and his executive duties. Even though he was called the Master of None, he wanted to do his best in fulfilling those duties. He decided to take a rest and get up early tomorrow, so that he could read all the files before his raiding labyrinth along with the first squad. The next day, Luker entered the first squad room with a smile while declaring she was the first to arrive. But unexpectedly Oren was the first to arrive there, which left her in a huge shock. She was surprised to see Oren reading a book inside the room. Oren reveals he had time since he arrived too early. But Luker was speechless after seeing a huge amount of books. Oren had already finished reading all the books and there were only 2 more to go. He was up all night reading since they were going to explore the labyrinth. Luker was shocked after hearing that. Oren reassured her that he also got enough sleep last night so it won't affect his performance in the raid. As Luker was amazed by that, Oren explains he is a fast reader, and he needs to absorb the knowledge of that clan as soon as possible for the future. It was really hard for Luker to believe that Oren read all of that within an hour and a half. Then she was amused by how Oren placed the book on the table without placing his hands on it. It was Oren's original floating magic, but he hadn't decided a specific name for it. It has a restriction that he can only use it on light objects. Luker was surprised because she never heard of such magic before. Oren heard there are some secret techniques in the Silver Rabbit clan, and he was surprised to see such a simple magic not existing there yet. At that time, Rain also entered the room. She berated them for making fuss early in the morning as she could hear their voices all the way outside. Then Rain was scared instantly after seeing a book floating out of nowhere. She thought it was a ghost, which surprised Oren and Luker. Seeing Rain's reaction, Luker whispered to Oren that Rain was not good with ghosts, but she had never been afraid of anything inside the maze. She comes up with a brilliant plan. Luker acted like she was scared of that monster and hid behind Rain, and the latter totally believed her. Oren couldn't be able to believe Luker fooling Rain with that sloppy performance. Since it was fun, he decided to keep watching it. Rain assured Luker while trembling that she would take care of it. The next second, Oren and Luker were shocked to see Rain activating a high-level magic attack there. Oren then reveals it was his magic ability to stop Rain from destroying the room. Oren felt for the first time Rain's trust in them. He explains about his magic to levitate light objects, leaving Rain impressed. That day, Oren and Luker resolved to never bother Rain again with haunted stories. After that huge commotion, Selma also entered the room, and Rain greeted her. Selma came there after stopping by the Exploration Management Department to discuss that day's exploration. They were supposed to have a coordination check with Oren, but they have received a request from the Management Department to collect hexenbeast materials. Selma decided to do that request while checking their link at the same time. She initiated the meeting about that. Will and Luker wanted to know about the request in detail. Selma explained they wanted to collect noxious sheep wool, and that's why they will raid 86th floor where noxious sheep were. Noxious sheep are a defensive hexenbeast covered in wool that exhales a reddish-black breath. If one inhales that, their body will go numb and they can't move. Its wool is extremely strong and elastic, making it highly sought after as a material. It is also used to make the uniforms of the adventurers of the Silver Rabbit Guild. Then she went on to decide about their battle plan. Selma volunteers to handle power-ups for everyone, except Oren, who had his own support magic. Oren was glad to reduce Selma's workload and was on board with the plan. The main attackers were decided to be Oren and Rain. Will would distract the Hexenbeast's attention, and Lucre was tasked with healing. She would also join the attack if there were no injuries for a period of time. Selma would also handle the support and will command the whole party. The first squad had already raided 86th floor quite a few times, but it was the first time for them with a new lineup, so she asked them to be careful there. She also asked for Oren's cooperation in that matter. Oren is also eager to raid the lower floors as a swordsman. It was Oren's first expedition into the labyrinth in a position he had always wanted. He was determined to not fail the clan, which has welcomed him with open arms. Soon the first left the clan and reached the entrance of the Great Southern Labyrinth. The other adventurers there recognized Oren, who was famous as a dragon slayer. They heard that the dragon slayer was an independent adventurer, but Oren showed them he was a member of the Silver Rabbit by wearing their uniform. They were sure that the Silver Rabbit would soon challenge the deepest floors with Oren, and the heroes' party couldn't take it easy for some time. Lucre joked about Oren being famous, and Oren couldn't believe how fast the information spread. But Oren also noticed that no one seemed to know about the reason behind the deport incident is the mistake of the heroes' party. He guessed the nobles who sponsored the heroes' party must have pressured the media to not leak them. No matter what, Oren's primary goal is to reach up to them. They wanted to reach the 94th floor just like the heroes' party, even though it was the bottom floor. Lucre liked the beautiful sight. The Great Maze is a cave-like space up to the middle floor, but from the lower floor, there are spaces with a variety of environments like that one. From there on, 86th to 88th floor were forests, but more than 70% of the area was covered by meadows with a great view. Lucre knew everyone would be happy after seeing the floor's view, but they couldn't be more wrong. Soon Lucre senses a huge amount of magic power in front of them. A huge magic bullet was launched at them from a beast. Selma asked Will to take care of defending. Will leaped forward with a weapon to face against the magic bullet. Oren noticed Will's double-edged sword, an extremely difficult weapon to wield and one that very few know how to use. Surprisingly, Will managed to smash the magic bullet to Oren's amazement. Then Selma called for Lucre to use her special magic. She soon traced the enemy and activated a flash magic. She found the enemy who fired the magic bullet right underneath the tree. Selma then increased Rain's magical power and asked her to attack the target at the distance. Rain wanted to give a big welcome for Oren with that big attack. She casted a high-level spell, Super Explosion. Soon that attack landed on a distant tree and pulverized it. Oren was impressed by the individual strengths of his companions. Selma interrupted their conversation. She thought the attack was made by the Earth Dragon and she knew it won't be defeated by that attack, so she wanted them to be cautious. Oren was amazed by their sequence of actions just then, which showed how capable they were once again. Selma and Rain were quick at constructing formulas, especially Rain. She built a special magic formula, Super Explosion, in a few seconds with a controlled power. If it was a normal magician, it would have taken them almost twice as long to build the formula as Rain. Oren was known as an explorer who reached the depths. Next Will, with exquisite timing, swung his double-edged sword and erased the magic bullet. With such a skill, Will should be able to parry enemy attacks and counterattack at the same time. Will was a special counter-attacking defender in a simple version. Finally Lucre, as one would expect from the bearer of the tracking magic skill, is extremely useful against monsters that attack from a distance. She is dynamic and controls her magic well, making her an indispensable party member. Soon the party moved silently near the target and found the Earth Dragon which had attacked them earlier. But it still didn't sense their presence yet. Selma asked Oren if he could handle the Earth Dragon and Oren was ready to do that. Earth dragons are one of the weakest dragon species. If they take the initiative, Selma was sure they will have no problem in dealing with them. Selma asked Oren and Will to kill the dragon, and she asked Rain to build a formula just in case. Then Selma went on to increase the cutting-edge ability increase on Will. It increased his power by 3 times and Selma also boosted his agility. Other than that, she also increased 6 basic types of support magic. As soon as finished casting it, she commanded Oren and Will to attack, and they leaped forward towards their target. Will asked Oren to go the other way as he would face it head-on. Soon both of them split, and Oren circled the dragon. The dragon also noticed Will and charged towards him. Both of them began to battle, and Oren found that the Earth Dragon has the ability to intimidate the enemies, which will reduce their speed. As he gets near, Oren observes something coming from the Earth Dragon. Soon a flash of magic power launched at him and Oren managed to dodge that. But he didn't understand what was going on. Soon he found a camouflage turtle at a distance. It is a magical beast that inhabits many of the lower floors of the labyrinth. It changes its color to match the environment to disguise itself. Those beasts were good at surprise attacks, but they were not very dangerous alone. When it attacks along with other monsters, it will be very dangerous. Oren decided to leave the turtle for the rear guard. He called Selma and used stone arrows at a distance. Selma also noticed the turtle at the place Oren attacked. After showing the turtle to others, Oren once again charged towards the Earth Dragon. He increased his power, technique and blade's sharpness. He soon took out his sword from the inventory and attacked the dragon with his instantaneous skill boost. With that one attack, Oren cut the dragon in half, which shocked Will. He once again felt the instantaneous skill boost power is not something to laugh at. But the modest Oren thanked Will as it was possible to attack it easily because he distracted it. The turtle was also defeated, as Rain used a powerful high-ranking magic, Spear of Fire, and casted it on the turtle. It caused a huge explosion and the turtle died almost instantly. Will felt they could relax now, but Oren denied that. Then Will understood Oren's meaning behind that, and there was another magic bullet that had been fired at them. This time, Oren defended against that magic bullet and he felt another monster was hiding near them. Soon the smoke caused by the attack cleared, and Oren found another Earth Dragon there. That Earth Dragon saw Oren chop one of its kind in half, so it judged them to be more dangerous opponents, and decided to attack them instead of the rear guard. This information entered Oren's mind telepathically, which was Selma's special power. She complimented the teamwork of Will and Oren. She then decided to check their teamwork while following orders from the third person. Oren was ready to give it a go as he never fought under anyone's command. Usually in the hero's party, he was the one who gave the commands to others. Selma asked them to attack the monster head-on without killing it. Luker and Rain will attack it with magic when the other two immobilize it. Soon, Selma activated a high-level magic from quite a distance between them. Will was soon covered by the magic circle and he was ready to go. Selma activated Space Jump on Will, and he disappeared from there and appeared near the Earth Dragon. Space Jump is a support magic that requires high concentration and skillful wielding of magic. It is said that this spell has a very complex form and is put on par with special magic. Oren was amused to see Selma activating it quickly and easily. Selma also used it on Oren and teleported him. Soon Oren teleported behind the Earth Dragon and they began to attack it. This time, they managed to pin the monster at one place for 5 seconds, and in the meantime, Rain and Luker casted the magic spells. After 5 seconds, Will and Oren began to retreat, and Selma casted a spell which turned the soil to mud and immobilized the dragon. Rain casted a thunderbolt, and Luker casted a ice lance. Soon both of the attacks landed on the Earth Dragon and caused a huge explosion. After the sum cleared, it could be seen that the attack has pulverized that monster. In the end, they managed to attack it as a team without any problems in their link. Soon everyone gathered, and Oren complimented the abilities of the first squad. Then Selma inquired whether they could pass the 92nd floor with their skill. Oren was surprised at first, but he was sure they were capable of doing that. Selma wondered whether it was because Oren was in their squad. But Oren denied. He was sure they were capable of defeating the Black Dragon even without his help. He wonders how the Black Dragon didn't lose to that group. Oren was sure that the others were training hard after Albert's death in the last Black Dragon raid. Rain thanked Oren for his compliments as they had been training hard without knowing whether it had paid off. Since Oren gave them a compliment as one who had already reached the 94th floor, the others got confidence. After that, the whole group began to search for the noxious sheep. After 2 hours on the 86th floor, they managed to find the sheep at a distance. Luker asked Oren to shear the wool first. When a Hexenbeast is defeated, it disappears, leaving behind a magic stone. On rare occasions, a body part may remain, but the odds are very low. When Oren killed the Black Dragon, its whole body remained, which was an exception to the rule. So if one has a desired magical beast material like that time, they can't leave it to chance like that. They had to find a way to get that for sure. That is, as long as Hexenbeast is still alive, it's easy to separate a part of the monster without disappearing. As Oren and Will neared the monster, Rain activated rock restraints and immobilized the sheep. Then Luker casted a lightning attack on the sheep. It was not lethal, but it would slow down that monster's movements. Will then asked Oren to shep the wool while he distracted it. Just like that, Oren successfully collected the wool from that monster. Everyone was happy to complete the quest without any mistakes. Selma complimented Oren for his skills and she asked him to preserve the wool. Then, she asked them to move away and ordered Rain to attack the sheep. Rain casted the spell, Fire Lance, at the sheep, and Selma asked Oren to provide support this time. Oren used an instant skill boost to multiply the effects of Rain's skill. That attack also wiped the sheep into the ashes. Rain was excited as her spell was buffed without the use of any external magic devices and she thanked Oren for that. Selma then wanted to keep up the pace to finish their quest. After that, the first unit constantly repeated the subjugation. After obtaining a total of 4 woolens, their quest came to an end. After that, they returned to the surface. Luker was happy to breathe the surface air once again. Since they were hungry, Will suggested that they have a welcome party for Oren, which they couldn't do the day before. Oren also agreed to that and everyone other than Selma and Oren cheered. The whole first squad began to move to a restaurant. Oren asked Selma to show him the research department as he had some work with them. Selma agreed to go along with him as she also had something to do there as well. So they both decided to go there tomorrow morning. Oren knew Selma would be busy as a clan leader, Vince, and he wanted to reduce her workload as he was an executive himself. Selma wanted to drink moderately as they have some work to do. Soon the whole first squad went to the Silver Rabbit affiliated restaurants. They ordered a wide variety of meat dishes along with 2 barrels of beer. Selma officially started the welcome party and welcomed Oren to the Silver Rabbit clan. Soon everyone cheered and started to drink to their heart's content. Oren thanked them for that, but Selma clarifies she was one who was thankful. After killing the Black Dragon, many clans have been inviting Oren. She was glad as he decided to join them. Rain also vowed to do their best so that Oren would have no regrets in joining their clan. Oren reveals he had no regrets as he always thought the Silver Rabbit was a good clan. Even though he hadn't been in that clan for so long, after spending some time, that thought only grew stronger. Oren was happy to explore the labyrinth along with the first squad. Luker was moved by his speech and cried. She was glad as Oren was easier to talk to than she had thought. Since they were completely opposite personalities, Luker was a little worried that they wouldn't get along. Will agrees with her as Luker who doesn't think and Oren who thinks about everything are complete opposites. Even though what Will said bothered her, she had to agree with him on that point. In truth, Oren didn't like Luker's personality, but he had never had any problems with her. They spent the rest of time drinking and had some fun moments. Oren thought about his grandpa's words who used to say that every decision will come with regrets, but now Oren has no regrets about his choice to join that clan. He decided to do his best to get to know everyone better. Since they had spent a lot of time there, Oren decided to end the party. But he suddenly noticed Selma was acting weirdly. Oren inquired Selma about her sighing continuously. In response, Selma moved closely towards him, which startled him. In a low voice, she exclaimed Oren as a good man. Oren was totally embarrassed and didn't know what she meant by that. But he was strangely attracted to her at the moment. In a drunk state, Selma moved closer to Oren as he seemed to not take her seriously even when she was telling the truth. But Oren didn't know what to think when she was saying that at that close to his face. As she moved near him, he noticed Selma's lips and body totally, which made him so nervous. Selma hugged Oren's hands and inquired what he was planning to do after that party. Oren was totally embarrassed as he drifted into some adult thinking. But Selma just wanted to have round 2 of drinking with him. Oren saw Selma was so drunk and she didn't have a clue about what she's doing. He got the wine bottle from her and placed it further. But that was fruitless as Selma started to cling onto him and Oren felt that the situation became very dangerous. Honest Oren controlled himself even in that situation. He asked Selma to not drink anymore, but the drunk Selma felt this amount of alcohol can't buzz her even a little, a statement just like a drunk person. Selma wanted to celebrate the moment she first met Oren, but he was only appreciating her sentiments. He pushed Selma away and asked her to calm down. But Selma thought Oren was trying to escape and hold him there. She wanted Oren to stay with her till morning so that they could go to the research department together. But it was clearly a different meaning from what he wanted to say. In the end, Oren asked Rain's help to stop Selma. But the plan got backfired as Rain also decided to join them. This only made the problem worse. He was being hugged by both Rain and Selma. He got tangled in the middle and there was no way to escape from there. Luker and Will teased Oren for being a popular player. Oren asked the other two to help him, but Will denied as he felt it would be rude to interrupt the love birds. He was clearly enjoying the situation as Oren was facing trouble. Will asked Oren to enjoy it and Oren's thoughts drifted away. Oren didn't understand what was going on with everyone. He wanted to be careful but he had no idea how to get out of that situation. If he stops there, he knows they will be angry with him. But he had to get out of there as he won't be able to hold on for long. While he was thinking, Rain and Selma moved near Oren to kiss him. Oren was embarrassed as he could feel their breathing there. He didn't want to use skills on them but he had no choice now. He casted Sleep Guide on both of them in an instant. Soon Rain and Selma easily fell asleep and fell on Oren for support. Will was amused to see them sleep after being drunk, and Luker teased whether Oren was available now, which he denied. Will asked Luker to take care of accounting their spoils to the clan. Oren was glad as the other two didn't notice anything, but the only problem is that he can't move. Even though something unexpected happened, Oren couldn't remember the last time he had so much fun. After finishing the party, Will took care of Rain and Luker took care of accounting. Oren was in charge of carrying Selma back to her room. In the accommodations of the Silver Rabbit, Sophia was waiting for Selma. She wanted to hear the answer from her sister who promised to talk with Oren about her teaching. Soon she heard a knocking sound at the door. If it was Selma, she would never bother knocking. Sophia moved closer to the door and inquired who was visiting her late at night. Oren introduced himself from the other side and asked Sophia to open the door. As soon as she heard that, Sophia got embarrassed and nervous at the same time. She asked Oren the reason for visiting her at a late time. She also has feelings for Oren at the same time. Oren explained about their celebration and drinking but he didn't talk about Selma. He asked Sophia to open the door so he could directly talk to her. Sophia thought Oren was drunk and he wanted to confess his feelings to her. So she rushed to open the door. Oren apologizes for coming so suddenly while carrying Selma on his back. This scene totally shattered Sophia's expectations and she faced the big shock of her life. Please like and subscribe to watch Oren's future endeavors and how he will impact the life of the others, and also don't forget his reunion with his childhood friend, Cheyenne, who was coming to kill that dragon hunter.